Hello everyone, my name is John, I'm the Geeky Fanboy, and welcome back to me talking about books that are popular on the internet for some reason. And today we are reviewing an infamous piece of literature, if I might say so, and we are reviewing it because you, the watchers, the readers, have voted for this, and today it is finally time to talk about Lightlark by Alex Aster. Now, this book came out roughly 2 years ago, and it was quite infamous when it came out. There was a lot of discourse surrounding this book and its author, and I don't want to go into all of that book drama here. I'll link you a video down in the description by the lovely Reads with Rachel, who covered all this stuff back when it happened. So there's a lot of stuff that happened when this book came out. So Alex Aster basically like big hype on TikTok because she promoted her book, and she promoted her book with like a bunch of tropes and lines that were in the book, and people got really excited. And even though her book was like not accepted by publishers for a really long time, at some point someone decided to pick up this book with like a huge like 6 figures deal or something to they gave their money to her to publish that book. And then some of the arcs came out, some of the early prints of the book, and then people were really mad at Alex Aster because the book contained, or rather did not contain, some of the tropes and lines Aster had promoted the book with. Also, people said it's pretty bad, like the writing is pretty bad. So people went kind of mad a little bit, review bombed the book on Goodreads. I think like 2 years ago when this came out, like the book suddenly like dropped down to like a 2 point something rating or something because people were just like review bombing it because they were so disappointed and angry with the whole situation. There were also like some other things going on with the author, because she's sort of like trying to like sell herself as like a sort of debut indie author, which is not true because she had, I think, a middle grade duology published before this, and it's not like her story is like a rags to riches thing, which she sort of likes to pretend her story is. It's not. She comes from quite a rich family. Like her twin sister is, I think, literally a millionaire. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the background. Again, watch the video by Reads with Rachel to know more. But today we are here to talk about just the book itself. And to be honest, I didn't really know that much of like the controversy surrounding the book when I started reading this. So I'm going to like keep this out of my mind and really just talk about the book itself. So Lightlark is a YA romantasy book, which was very unfairly so compared to The Hunger Games. This was promoted as Hunger Games meets A Court of Thorns and Roses, so ACOTAR. Now, I haven't read ACOTAR yet. We all know I probably have to read this at some point for this format. But I have read The Hunger Games. Big fan of it. Whoever decided to like compare this to Hunger Games was a good comparison or a fair comparison. You are a liar, sir. You are a liar. So, this book is a YA fantasy book about Isla, who is a girl that is going to attend a tournament due to the death called the Centennial. I'm calling it Tournament to the Death in air quotes because it's not really that. And for this tournament to the death, she goes onto a magic island where she meets up with a bunch of other kings and queens where they are supposed to eventually, sort of fight to the death and supposed to like figure out what a prophecy means that was made 500 years ago when all the realms of this earth or whatever the world is called in that book, all the realms were cursed, and now they're trying to sort of like figure out how that happened, how they can get rid of them, and in order to do that, apparently they need to have a tournament to the death. So again, even with the summary, there was a bit of a controversy, a bit of a discussion going on because there was stuff in there, like in the premise already that Aster promised that didn't really turn out to be in the book at all, which I can confirm is very much true. And as we all know, I'm not the biggest romantasy fan. I have my troubles with the genre because I do love fantasy. I'm not that big into romance. However, it's not like I don't enjoy any romance stories. There have been romance stories that I enjoy, and I'm willing to give the romantasy genre a try every single time. Like, I'm waiting for the day that I will read a romantasy book for this format that I will really, really enjoy. And just because this is YA doesn't necessarily mean that the writing is bad. But long story short, Lightlark is essentially every YA romantasy cliche and stereotype thrown together into one book, and then this first draft was written and apparently never really edited, and then they just like threw it out for people to read. So there's quite a lot I have to say about this book today. As always, I will give a little summary of my general thoughts in the beginning. Then we jump into chapter by chapter recap and analysis of this book, which might take a really long time today because this book is really irritating and confusing and way too complex. And then at the end, we'll just wrap this whole thing up with some final analysis, a bit of a discussion, you know, the usual stuff. Before we jump into the deeper analysis, I want to let you know what the general story of this book is. So here, for your viewing pleasure, is a not at all sarcastic summary of what happens in Lightlark. My name is Isla Crown, and I'm the leader of the wildlings, who are known to have nature powers and are cursed to eat human hearts and kill the ones they fall in love with. But none of that is actually important because I don't have curses or any special powers. Instead, I have been trained since I was a child to be good at literally anything. I'm about to enter the Centennial, a tournament to the death, where I will confront the leaders of the other nations to finally break our curses. I'm Celeste. I'm the leader of the Starlings from Star Isle. I'm Cleo. I'm the leader of the Moonlings from Moon Isle. I'm Azul. I'm the leader of the Skylings from Sky Isle. I'm Oro. I'm the leader of the Sunlings from Sun Isle. And I'm Grim. I'm the leader of the Nightshade from Nightshade. No one can know that I don't have powers and don't need to exclusively feed on human hearts. You want some chocolate? Oh, yes! I have to go and search some secret libraries to find the Bond Breaker, an artifact that can help break the curses. I'm your secret ally and will help you in your search. Mostly off-page, though. Damn it, I can't find the MacGuffin Breaker, and now I'm in danger of getting murdered in this tournament to the death. Oh, don't worry, Heart-Eater. We're not gonna start killing each other until 50 days of this 100-day tournament are over. Doesn't matter. There is no time for distractions. There are festivals going on for some reason, so I gotta go grab my sword and put on a sexy dress. I'm not sure what I enjoy more. The way you grip a sword, or the way that dress grips you. Keep away from him, Isla. He has evil, curse-creating shadow powers, which is why no one likes him and he hasn't been invited to this tournament up until this point, even though the prophecy says that we quite literally need all 6 leaders in order to break the curses. Who cares about breaking the curses? I don't like you, Isla Crown, and I'm secretly assembling a giant army so that I can fight. Yeah, that sounds great, but now a quarter of the Centennial's over and I still haven't found the Bond Breaker. Well, at least no one will choose me for the powering up, because how could anyone care? Isla Crown, I choose you! Well, I guess I'm done flirting with Grim for now, so I could spend some time with you to develop some flirty chemistry. What are we doing anyway? Even though I'm 500 years old, like everyone else except you, I don't have the nature knowledge that you have that can help me to find the heart of Lightlark, which must be hidden in some kind of special flower. Searching, searching, searching everywhere. Intense searching, intense searching, intense searching. Damn it, we still haven't found the heart or the Bond Breaker, and now that half the Centennial's over, someone could get murdered at any time. Let's have another party! Hey, I haven't been around in a while, so I thought it was time for me to be dark and mysterious some more. Why are you so dark and mysterious all the time? Because I haven't told you that you've ruined me. You haven't stopped tormenting me since the first moment I saw you. You have invaded my mind. I've questioned my sanity. I think about you all the time. Ah, shit, we're gonna be the endgame couple, aren't we? Isla, I knew this whole time that you didn't have any powers, and I decided to tell everyone about it, but don't worry, this does not count as an actual betrayal, because we still need to work together to find the heart of Lightlark. Oh my god! I got it! I know where the heart can be found! What? The heart was an egg! Of course! It makes so much sense! Hooray! I knew the two of us could make it, Slice, because we're the bestest of friends and nothing can stop. Fuck you, I'm betraying you. Oh no! How will I get out of this situation? Did you know that there never was a Celeste, and I'm actually an ancient ruler who caused all of this to happen and for the curses to be created? What? Did you know that you actually had powers this whole time, both wildling and nightshade powers? What? And that everyone you knew in your entire life was in on my evil plan and manipulated you throughout the years? But I like Grim. I'm sure Grim wouldn't betray. I took away your memories of us being a couple for an entire year, and yet I continued flirting with you anyway. I knew about Celeste the whole time, but I only did all of this to save us. Oh, fuck this. You've done it, Isla. I'm so proud of you. Thanks. I guess we can go on a date now. Yeah, well done. I'm proud of you. Fuck you, Grim. Now, with the curses broken and you having received the powers of all the realms, what will we do next? You know what? There is this super mysterious vault that we haven't really spoken about for the entire book, so I'm gonna go and see what that's about. So that's the basic story of Lightlark. Now, here are some of my general thoughts. I'm gonna try to keep those concise and short, because again there's a lot of stuff going on and I'm going to go into detail more during the analysis. So general thoughts when I finish this book: bad, pretty bad. I think I ended up giving it 1.25 stars, which makes it a quarter of a star better than Fourth Wing, which is not that much of an achievement, really. So the thing is, this is very cliche YA, and like I said, YA doesn't necessarily mean bad writing, but this is like really simplistic, the most basic ass writing that you can think about. Like, Aster uses really basic names and simple metaphors to name her world, where you're like, oh, I mean, yeah, this does work, but you're clearly trying to go for like a sort of high fantasy vibe, and this feels like Aster has no imagination whatsoever. And everything she writes about feels like it just came to her as she was writing it, and then she just put it in the manuscript and didn't think about it any further, and the editor apparently didn't pick up on it, because there will be stuff she writes about where like, okay, yeah, I think I got that, then she overcomplicates it for no real reason. Maybe because she thinks, oh, the more details I put into this, the more it sounds like actual complex high fantasy, which it doesn't. And then pages later, she will introduce something else that often contradicts something she wrote in an earlier chapter, and no one, not her, not an editor, no one picked up on it, and it really just feels like a jumbled mess that was written in a really short time, and then no one had the time, the patience, or whatever to actually proofread it and take out all the little mistakes that were in here. So everything is very simplistic. Everything is like way too complex. The characters in this are also very simplistic or even completely forgotten about, because we have theoretically 6 main characters. However, half of them are not important at all. The people who are important are, of course, Isla, the female main character, and her 2 male love interests. Those are the only 3 people that are really important, and everyone else just basically gets dropped pretty early on. And those characters are as cliche as you can think about them. Like, Isla is the classic, you know, a 19-year-old YA female protagonist who doesn't have any powers in this fantasy world, but still knows how to do everything else because she was trained since she was a child. So she's an absolute badass. There will never be any problems really for her throughout the whole book. And if there is any conflict, she will solve it immediately. She's tough and knows what she's doing and pretends like she's really smart and knows how to plan like a general. But actually, when you read the book, you think she's a stupid piece of bread and does things where you're like, this is the most illogical thing you could do, and this can't be excused with, oh, she's pretty young, she doesn't know what she's doing. And no, some of the stuff she does and things is really, really ridiculous and stupid, and especially because she is characterized to be this really smart and strong character. So Isa is basically this very basic as YA female protagonist, and her two love interests are exactly the same. It's Shadow Daddy and Golden Retriever Boy. Those are her two love interests. Of course, we have the Golden Retriever Boy who, you know, sort of serious but still nice, blonde hair. He's the king, he's got all the powers. They're sort of a bit distant with each other, but you know, they grow to like each other, and this guy basically doesn't have any personality. He's like a wet piece of cardboard. And then of course we have Shadow Daddy, who has like all the darkness and shadow powers, and he's like dark and mysterious and off-putting, but also weirdly flirty with her. And of course in the beginning she's like, oh, I don't really like him, but also he's really hot. And you can tell that at some point in this series she will end up with this guy. Even if she likes the Golden Retriever Boy, she will definitely end up with the Shadow Daddy guy. The story is unnecessarily complex and like long. Like, it really gets boring as soon as you finish like the first third of the book, because the book introduces elements to this tournament to the death that are unnecessary, where you question why that is even there, for what's the reason for this? Why does this exist for the plot? There isn't really one. It's just to give this tournament a weird structure, but that doesn't really do anything for the plot. There are many contrivances, conveniences, a lot of things that are in there where you're just like, oh, this just, it's only there to serve the plot or to serve the climax of the book, so this can happen the way Aster wanted it to happen, even though it doesn't make any sense in terms of plot structure or world building. So this creates a story that's convoluted and boring at the same time, and puts like all its clever reveals into like literally one chapter at the very end, where it like hits you over the head with 5 million different plot twists, where Aster pats herself on the back for being like, and I'm not joking about, she like pats herself on the back of being, no one was able to guess the twist, and I think that's pretty good. And you're like, yeah, no one was able to guess the twist because you're a bad writer. You didn't hint at anything. You just come up with stuff out of nowhere. Of course, no one can guess this shit. World building, as we're going to discover, confusing as hell, unnecessarily complex. Aster will introduce one thing only to contradict that thing 2 chapters later. She doesn't make things very clear, especially like the geography or how the powers work. Everything is very vague and arbitrary. Like, everything will be introduced just as it is needed. And if you're trying to like make sense of this in your head, you can't. Like, you have to turn your brain off for this book, because if you read this with like a bare minimum of attention, you will immediately start questioning things like chapter 1. Okay, so obviously, as you can tell, there's a lot going on with this book. So those are just some general ideas of what we will talk about as we dive into the deeper analysis. As always, I got my notebook here. I got a new one just for this book. I had to get a new one. I have quite a lot to say. So those are like all the pages we need to get through to talk about this book. I'm going to try and keep this up here just because I need notes to make sense of this story, as you will realize. As always, I'm going to sprinkle in some quotes if I can. But for now, that's it for the introduction. So let's jump into the analysis for Lightlark. Okay, so we begin this book with Isla Crown, for that's how you pronounce the name that's spelled like this. I've seen many people pronounce it Isla. Personally, I pronounced it Isla for large parts while I was reading, because that's how you pronounce that name, but apparently it's pronounced Isla. So don't be confused about that. So we're starting this book with Isla Crown, our main character, who is I'm guessing around 19 or 20 years old. It's never made quite clear, but that's sort of what I got from like context clues. So we start the book with her returning from a place she traveled to, and she says that she travels through a puddle of stars beaming into her room, and we find out that she traveled using what she calls a star stick. Well, on page 1, ladies and gentlemen, Isa uses a device called a star stick. What this device looks like? No idea. Personally, I was imagining like some Sailor Moon thing, or like one of those glitter ones with like water inside of them. Whatever you fancy, imagine that here. So this is an artifact she has, and she uses it to travel to different realms, which she's apparently not allowed to do, because we find out that she is basically trapped. Well, not trapped, but she is kept very securely in her room on the wildling land. For Isa Crown is the leader of the wildlings, and they keep her safe and sound in, as she calls it, her little cage. And Isla, especially for this first chapter, will go on about how she feels like a bird in a cage, she feels trapped, she's not allowed to be anywhere. And then you remember that this book literally started with her telling us that she can teleport anywhere using this ridiculous star stick of hers. So no, Isla, you're not a bird in a cage. You can literally go wherever you want. So here is what Isla tells us about the device. Isla didn't pretend to be an expert at using the device. In the beginning, the puddle of stars took her unexpected places. The snow villages of the moonling Newlands, the airy jubilees of the skyline Newlands, a few lands that hadn't been settled by any of the 6 realms at all. Little by little, she learned how to return to locations she had been to before. And that was the extent of her mastering of the star stick. All she knew for certain was that somehow the mysterious device allowed her to travel hundreds of miles in seconds. And that's all the explanations you get for this thing. This thing will be used a bit more later in the book, but that's it. That's all we know about this thing, really. We don't know what it looks like. This is what it does. So that's it. So Isa has apparently been doing this beaming out of her room to travel places for months. As we've learned, it took her months to master the star stick. And apparently, she's been able to do this, to like go and travel to distant places for months now, and no one found out. Like, she's under constant surveillance. She is only allowed to be in this one room, essentially. She has guardians that look after her almost 24/7. And yet she's been traveling with her star stick, literally beaming herself to different countries for months. And no one's found out. No one's ever like entered her room and she just wasn't there. How convenient. And then Isla tells a bit more about her family, her background, and what's even like really going on with her. A bird in a cage, Isla shrugged. Just some swordplay. Poppy and Tara were her only family, though they weren't family at all. Everyone who shared blood with her was long dead. Still, even they didn't know about the star stick. If they did, they would never let her use it. It was the only key out of the bird's cage, and Isla had been locked inside not just for her own safety, but for everyone else's. So Tara and Poppy are like her 2 guardians who look after her and who have trained her since she was a child. And Tara and Poppy are now joining her because Isla needs to prepare. She needs to prepare for the Centennial, a very interesting, meaning it's complicated and confusing as hell, tournament which the leader of every realm has to join. And because this book really likes to info dump on you out of nowhere, we just get straight up told sort of the basics of what the Centennial is. The Centennial was many things. A game, a chance of breaking the many curses that plagued the 6 realms, an opportunity to win unmatched power, a meeting of the 6 rulers, 100 days on an island cursed to only appear once every 100 years, and for Isla, almost certain death. So this is what she's prepping for, and we learn that there are 6 realms in this world. Now buckle up, folks. Here are the realms. We have the Wildling realm. This is the realm that Isla is the queen of. So, Wildling. Then we have Starlings. We have Moonling. We have Skyling. And we have Sunling. And we have Nightshade. Yeah, no, not Nightling. Why? I don't know. All of these names already sound dumb anyway. You could have just named it Nightling anyway. Why didn't you? There's never an explanation given for why the Nightshade realm is named differently. If there's any specific reason for that, there isn't. Aster just apparently thought, nah, Nightling is too dumb. All the other ones are okay, though. So, yeah, that's the naming that we get for all the different realms. So, in case you're wondering, yes, the Wildlings live on the Wild Isle, the Skylings live on Sky Isle, etc. Except for Nightshade, they live on Nightshade. I told you the naming in this book was very simplistic. So, in all of these realms have specific curses. I will dive more into each realm's curse as we go along, but for now we hear about the Wildling curse. So Wildlings are said to be very beautiful. They're said to be seductresses and all that. It is said that their curse is actually 2 curses for some reason. They're the only people who have 2 curses. So their curse is that they have to kill anyone they fall in love with, and that they exclusively live on human hearts. Wildling's curse was twofold. They were cursed to kill anyone they fell in love with, and to live exclusively on human hearts. They turned into terrifyingly beautiful monsters, with the wicked power to seduce with a single look. Thousands of Wildling men and women had been killed off since. Love became forbidden, reckless. Fewer children were born, and daughters had always been more common for their realm. Though love had various forms, men were killed more often when the rules were broken, and they had slowly become a small community of mostly warrior women, feared, hated, weak since fewer people meant less power. The Centennial was the only chance to end their curses, to return to their previous glory again, to regain the power they so badly needed. Isla was their only chance. Why Wildlings have basically 2 curses instead of 1, it's never really explained. Also, keep in mind that they exclusively feed on human hearts. Remember that. Also, I was wondering, why aren't those 2 things connected? Like, why wouldn't you just say, okay, they're a curse to eat the heart of the human they fall in love with, therefore forcefully having to kill them? Like, could have just easily combined those 2 things? But no. Also, if you're wondering, heck, don't you have to go through a bunch of hearts every day? Because I think it's mentioned that the Wildlings have to eat like 1 heart per month or something. Like, each Wildling has to eat 1 heart per month. If you're wondering what the economy of this is, where do they get their hearts and all that, we're not really getting any insight on that, apart from what you just heard, that their numbers are dwindling. That's it. I think it's shortly, like briefly mentioned somewhere that they eat hearts from like people in prison they've convicted, but even that would not be enough. Later we'll find out that there's another realm which has the curse of people dying pretty young. I'm gonna go into that later. And you're like, why don't you just get your hearts from the people that die anyway? Like, you could combine your economies or something. But, you know, the cultural impact or economical impact these curses have on these realms will never really be explored in any way. So you can forget about that now. So, Isla is being prepared. She's getting ready to be on her way. And it's really dramatic. It's like, say, Isla is the last hope of the Wildlings, and she's really nervous and about that she's gonna get murdered because she isn't really prepared as the other leaders are, and she's really young, and we know nothing about this girl at this point. We know nothing about her. Like, I have no incentive to care about her worries that are explained to me in this chapter. Like, if you compare this to Hunger Games, if you want to compare it to Hunger Games, we spend time with Katniss before she chooses to enter the Hunger Games. Like, we see what her day-to-day life is like. We see how hard she struggles. We see her family life, who she cares for, who the people in her life are. So when she does enter the Hunger Games, we have reason to care for her. We have reason to worry about her safety. Same goes for I read this year Rise of Kyoshi. Like, the Kyoshi books, the first one, they spend time to explore Kyoshi as a character before she becomes the Avatar. We have the time to like spend with her, to get her to know as a person, to get to know her day-to-day life, who her friends are, how she deals with her job in her household. And then we get the news that she is the Avatar, and then we see her development and reaction to that, and then we have a comparison because we know this is what her life used to be like, and now it's suddenly changing. You sort of need a bit of a prologue or whatever to your character so this kind of stuff actually has impact, because I don't know who Isla is, I don't care for her, and she's just about to end this tournament to the death, chapter 1 basically, and I'm like, sure. Okay, so on her island, Isla enters a portal that beams her to the island of Lightlark, which is this secret special magic island that appears every 100 years. Which is not quite true. Lightlark is always there, it's just inaccessible. So Lightlark is surrounded by a magic storm, essentially, and this storm disappears every 100 years so people can go there. So that's what we're talking about here. So Isla enters a magic portal. Where it comes from, who put it there, if it's always there, no idea. She goes through a portal and beams herself to Lightlark. And after she portals there, a man greets her. And guess who this is going to be based on his description? The face belonging to the man looking down at her was amused and familiar somehow. He was so tall, Isla had to tilt her chin to meet his eyes, black as coals. His hair spilled ink across his pale forehead. So, we have the entrance of our Shadow Daddy love interest, whose name is, and I'm not kidding you here, Grimshaw, called commonly Grim. Yeah. That's what we gotta deal with in this. So she feels like she knows him. He gets the basic ass description of every dark, mysterious Shadow Daddy character in the existence of romantasy. He's immediately super flirty with her, and she's a bit irritated by it because she's like, he doesn't know me, and we're enemies, sort of, but also he's flirting with me? Weird, what's he doing? So she's there. We get a bit more info on what the Centennial is. Like, it's a game to gain power, essentially, but there's also a prophecy in place, which is mentioned here. And the prophecy which must apparently be fulfilled to stop the curses. She frowned. He should be afraid. If a wildling wished they could make a person fall off a cliff in pursuit of them, their power to beguile was impossible to resist, though forbidden during the 100 days. The Nightshade must have thought he was safe. He was not. Each Centennial was a giant game, a chance to gain unparalleled ability. It was said that whoever broke the curses by fulfilling the prophecy would be gifted all the power it had taken to spin them. The ultimate prize. So here we get informed that there is a prophecy. What this prophecy exactly is, we don't know yet. It will take a while to actually hear the full-on prophecy. And what they say here doesn't even really, like, it's not confirmed in the prophecy, what they're saying here. What they believe this prophecy means isn't actually in the prophecy. We'll get back to it. Don't worry, we'll get back to it. So, Lightlark is a special island which appears every 100 years for 100 days exactly. And the king of Lightlark, who we will meet in a minute, basically invites all the other leaders to come and join them so they can find a way to break the curses. This is the first time, actually, that a nightshade is invited. So this is the first time Grimm is invited. And we'll find out later that the prophecy says that you need all 6 rulers to break the curses. And this whole centennial thing has been going on for 500 years. So 5 times this has happened already. And this is only the first time the Nightshade King is invited. No wonder this thing hasn't worked out for you yet if you just exclude one of the leaders this whole time. So the Nightshade leader, Grimm, has been excluded this whole time. This is the first time he's attending. He's been excluded because he's dark and mysterious and people don't like that. Because like Nightshade powers are weird and dark and sort of connected to curses, so they think he might have had something to do with the curses, which fair enough, but also you literally need all 6 leaders to get rid of the curses, so why haven't you invited him? So this is a good time to now introduce you to all the other leaders, the other realms, and the other curses. So we meet Azul, who is the leader of the Skylings. Azul is our token gay and black character for this book, who will not be in the book for 80% of the story. He basically disappears after a while and is not important at all. The Skylings essentially have airbender powers, and their curse is that they can't fly anymore. And you're like, okay, but that means you're still overpowered humans with airbending powers. That's still pretty badass. And not as bad as some of these other curses we will hear about. Fun fact, I completely forgot or didn't even know what the Skyling curse even was until I finished the book and looked it up. Because Azul and the Skylings are so minor and unimportant through the story, I genuinely didn't know. Or just forgot that I had read it. That's how unimportant this character is. Grimm, who is the leader of the Nightshades, their powers are like, as we will talk about, very vague, very OP. They can do basically anything they like Aster needs them to do. And the Nightshades' curse is that they can't go out at night. Which makes sense. They draw their power from night, from darkness, from the shadows, so they can't go out at night. The leader of the Sunlings is called Oro. The Sunlings basically have like all the sun, fire bending, gold powers and all that, and their curse is the inverse of the Nightshades. The Sunlings can't go out during daylight, which also makes sense. The special thing about Oro is that he's not only the king of the Sunlings, he's also the king of Lightlark. So both at the same time. Why? How? What? We sort of get a little bit of an answer on that, but don't expect too much. Also, the special thing about Oro is he is what's called an origin, which means he, as the king of Lightlark, has the powers of every realm that like helped create like Lightlark. Like he basically has all the powers. He doesn't only have something powers, he also has other powers. Why? What is an origin? Is he the only one? Where do they come from? No idea. This will never get explained. Or basically doesn't even really use all of his other powers. He mostly only uses Sunling powers and seems to forget that he even has the other ones available. This is just a thing. He is, apparently. Then we meet Cleo, who is sort of the bitchy female side character who doesn't like the main character. She's said to be the oldest one, and she is the leader of the Moonlings. We will hear about the Moonling curse later, because I want to keep that one because it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. But for now, the Moonlings, basically, they're waterbenders. They're the water tribe. They can do water stuff, ice stuff, all of that. Then we meet Celeste, who is the leader of the Starlings. The Starlings have very arbitrary, vague star powers, sort of energy powers. Like, they can turn star power, star energy into matter. They also sort of have telekinesis powers. Again, it's vague and not really explained all that well. And we find out here that the Starling curse, now that's a good one. The Starling's curse is that they're all cursed to die at the age of 25. So, I want you to think about this. A culture and economy that is run entirely by under 25-year-olds. Like, what are the consequences of this curse? Like, just think about it. Like, how the hell do they raise their kids? Is everyone, like, forced to have babies, like, as soon as they can? Like, just think about it. Like, because in order to, like, sort of sustain your population, you would have to have kids pretty young. Does that mean they have, like, a bunch of, like, teenage parents? Like, as soon as they hit, like, puberty and can have kids, they have kids? Because that sounds pretty big. That sounds pretty major in terms of, like, your economy, in terms of your culture. So is every kid, like, raised by teenage parents? Is it, like, a community thing? Does, like, the entire community raise their children? Then all the jobs would have to be, like, quickly learned by everyone. Like, as soon as someone knows how to do a job, they need to teach the next person how to do a job at a pretty young age. So you got to start working at, like, I don't know, age 13 or 14. Because, you know, you're gonna die in, like, 12 years or something. Like, the ramifications of this curse are major and potentially interesting, and also a bit uncomfortable and creepy. But the book will never talk about this. The book will, like, I think Isla later visits the Starling Island at some point, and it's only mentioned that, like, island doesn't look great, like, the Starlings aren't doing that great, and you're like, yeah, no shit. You want to, like, go into that a bit more, maybe? No? Well, fuck you then. The important thing you have to know about Celeste, so the leader of the Skylings, is that she's secretly besties with Isla. So here we go. Not enemies, friends, sisters. That word did a much better job at encapsulating their bond, a relationship Isla could have never prepared for after her life alone. She loved Celeste more than anyone, even her guardians. It was only natural to tell the Starling her secret 3 years after they met. We find out about that secret in a minute, but for now it's important to know that Celeste and Isla know each other. They're gonna work together throughout the centennial, but they're trying to keep it low-key and secret. So Isa goes and discovers what there is to see on Lightlark. She describes it as a shiny, cliffy thing. In case you wanted really elaborate descriptions of what these different fantasy places look like, forget about it. Of course, this book still likes to info dump some more on you, because that's what this book does. It really just, like, pauses in the middle of action or dialogue or whatever, and then just, like, dumps a bunch of unnecessary info on you that usually also is just either confusing or contradicting. So we get a bit more info on, like, Lightlark, its geography and all that, its history. So this is what Isla tells us about. Thousands of years ago, the island was cut into several pieces, so each realm could claim a shard. Nightshades left the island shortly afterward to form their own land. Wildlings left after the curses. The pieces that remained were Star Isle for the Starlings, Sky Isle for the Skylings, Moon Isle for the Moonlings, and Sun Isle for the Sunlings. Then there was the mainland, where all the realms had traditionally gathered together. It was the Centennial space. It was also historically home to Lightlark royalty. Lightlark royalty is honestly just Oro, I think. Like, the king. We don't really know about anyone else who's Lightlark royalty. So the geography in this book confused me, because up until a point it was like there's different realms, different islands, but there's also Lightlark, and everyone lived on Lightlark at some point after it was created, because Lightlark was created by rulers of the different realms. But then there's also an island for each of the realms surrounding Lightlark, but there's also apparently islands outside the magic Lightlark storm. I had so much trouble figuring out the geography of this. I might put a clip of me here trying to figure out the geography, because this book didn't have a map and it was very confusing. In case I get too confused and don't manage to put up a clip of me trying to figure out geography, just let me tell you, it's very confusing. It's confusing. That's all you need to know. So here we learn that the king of Lightlark is also the Sunling King. His name's Oro, and we hear that he has basically all four, I think it's mentioned 4 Lightlark powers. Why only 4 and not all 6 of them? Because all of the realms lived on Lightlark at some point? I don't know, man. Ask Alex Aster, even though I don't think she's ever thought about this kind of stuff. The thing is, at this point in the book, we haven't even met powers. Like, we haven't had any experience with powers. I've told you that there are powers, because you need to know this, but up until this point, the book hasn't really mentioned that there are powers. The book just throws at you, oh yeah, by the way, Oro, the King of Lightlark, has the powers of 4 realms, and you're like, powers are a thing? Okay, I guess. Then we get more info dumping, and we're told that if you fall in love on Lightlark, your beloved gains access to your power. So basically, if I was a nightshade and, I don't know, my girlfriend was a wildling and we're in love, I gain her wildling nature powers, and she would gain, if she also loves me, which I'm assuming, she would gain my night shadow powers. So love is a dangerous thing on Lightlark, is what we're told, essentially. This is all we really get on this. This won't really come up again until the very end of the book, as you can imagine, because, you know, it's romantasy, so people are gonna fall in love. But how this works is never really explained, because I had so many questions about this. Like, first off, how does the island know you're in love? Like, magic, I guess? A wizard did it? I don't know. Apparently the island just knows. Does the island know before you know? Because that's something that will come up later. Does it have to be 2 ways? Like, does it need to be requited love? Does it also work with unrequited love? Like, if I love someone but they don't love me, do I still get their powers but they don't get mine? Because that would be pretty unfair. Again, this is all like this super vague world-building fantasy stuff that Alex Aster just like throws out there into the book without really thinking about what like the ramifications or consequences of this kind of stuff is. And it's just there now. It's just like there, so she can use it later for the climax of the book. That's a lot of what this stuff is. She like just throws it in there so stuff later in the book can work out the way she needs it to, but she doesn't really consider anything else about the fact she just threw out there. Then, as you can see, I made a gigantic note about too much world building dumping in short time, because that shit gets really annoying, especially in the early chapters of the book. Because we don't stop here, we get more info and background on how the powers work, the history of Lightlark, the curses were spun, and all that. So, the night the curses were created, all the rulers died. Like, all the rulers died the night the curses were created. And they passed their powers on to their heirs. And all of them, or most of the different people, fled to like create their own different realms. And that was confusing again, because I thought, hang on, I thought not all of them left Lightlark at the same time. Like, it's mentioned that, I think it was Wildling or something, whatever, I read that some of them stayed on the island, but apparently all of them also left at the same time to create their own realms. But also, don't you already have realms because you had leaders of the realms to create Lightlark? It's so confusing and my brain hurts. We're in chapter 2. So Isa talks about that she like walks to the portal and she walks through Lightlark, and then she mentions that there is a crowd watching her. So like there's a crowd watching the Centennial, and you're like, where? Like, where is a crowd watching her? Like, this is never explained. Like, we don't get any real descriptions of what her surroundings look like, what the island looks like, except being a shiny cliffy thing, what the houses look like, the architecture, none of that. And then she just throws out there, there's a crowd watching me. And you're like where? Like, because I was just imagining, Isla is portaling through, and she's just like out in an open space where she arrived, and then she's like, there's a crowd watching me. I'm like, where? Are there like rows of chairs they just put up to watch you? Are they like just standing there because they knew you would be there? Are they like stands? Did they build a stadium to come watch you? Are they just like floating around like a Greek chorus commenting on the story? I don't know. And during the Centennial, Isa will sometimes mention, oh, the crowd goes wild, the crowd's crying or something, and you're like, where the fuck are they? Bit more world building, of course. It's mentioned that the King of Lightlark is trapped inside like the mainland castle, and that he's shy. That he's shy and only able to come out at night, which is, as we find out later, related to the curse. Why he's like trapped inside his castle, I don't know what Aster means. Like, Oro will leave the castle frequently throughout the book. Like, I don't know if it means that he can't leave Lightlark, like the island. Like, I don't know, because it might be because it said that Oro, so the King of Lightlark, his power is the island. So basically, if he dies, if Oro dies, the island of Lightlark dies. Which is not, strictly speaking, an exclusive thing. It's said later that if a leader of a realm dies, their entire realm dies with them. Which I will accept. But the thing is about Oro, he's not only the king of Lightlark, he's also the king of the Sunlings. So if Oro dies, do both Sun Isle and Lightlark just die? And like, I get that he's connected to the Sun Isle because he's the king of the Sunlings. But why is he connected to Lightlark? How did that connection get made? Like I don't, again, this shit is so vague. I don't know how it works, and it's not always just enough to be like, it's magic, a wizard did it. I'm like, yes, I know it's magic, it's fantasy, but sometimes I want to know how the magic works. So essentially what you need to know here is that if Oro is feeling bad, the island, so Lightlark, is feeling bad. That's sort of what you have to keep in mind for later. So Isa goes on, like, goes to the castle, makes her way to like her place where she's staying. It's mentioned that she brought the star stick with her. That's a little bit important to keep in mind. And in the castle, she then meets up with Celeste. That's why we find out, they're secretly friends, because while Isla was traveling with her star stick, she at some point accidentally landed on Moon Isle and apparently just met the Queen, and they became friends. Just like that. Hint, this is not the only time that Isla just happened to meet up with a leader of a country during her random beam travels. But apparently that's what we're doing. So her, Celeste, besties. And Celeste mentions that the star stick is probably a starling relic, and it's a relic that Isla got from her mother. Chapter 3. Isla is getting ready in her room. This is why we find out that she likes to sing, and she sings to keep the anxiety away. She goes out to the balcony of her room to sing, and then someone overhears her and I think like claps when she finishes. And this super skilled fighter girl who's been trained to like always pay attention, to not be surprised, Isla gets embarrassed and she throws herself off the balcony, essentially. And of course, she's in her underwear. So she tumbles over the balcony. And my notice, is this supposed to be funny? Because I genuinely didn't know if the book was trying to be funny or not, because it really did read like a comedy. And someone ends up rescuing her. And we don't really know who, but yeah, she gets rescued and put back into her room. We get some more info dumping at this point, like we hear about the origins of the Centennial and the curses. It's all very like vague and wishy-washy. Again, Alex Aster didn't really put a whole lot of thought into this. The more surprising part wasn't that he had discarded her, but that he had rescued her. After the curses were spun, there was chaos. The same night, the 6 rulers of the realm sacrificed themselves in exchange for a prophecy that was promised to be the key to breaking the curses. Tara and Poppy claimed her own ancestor had been the one to lead the sacrifices, the first to die. True or not, Isla could never imagine the strength it must have taken to give up their lives for the chance at their people's salvation. The power the six injected into the island and transferred to their realms made the Centennial possible. Every 100 years, for 100 days, the 6 realms were given a chance to save themselves because of that sacrifice. The prophecy to break the curses had 3 parts, which had been integral in several ways throughout the centuries. One was clear. For the curses to be eradicated, one of the 6 rulers had to die. It was why the Centennial was such a risky affair. Feared and prepared for, why Tara had trained Isla to fight since the time she could walk. Then Isla gets ready to attend a fancy dinner where we meet all the other leaders officially. And this is the first time where we meet on page Oro, the king of Lightlark, and also the Sunlings, who is basically an untoasted piece of bread. That's his personality, if you need any sort of insight on who this guy is. For some reason, Isla assumes that Oro was the one who saved her earlier, like who heard her singing, and then saved her when she threw herself off the balcony. She just assumes that. We don't have any hint on that it was actually him. She just, out of nowhere, is like, oh yeah, he's the one who saved me. And I'm like, where you got that from? And of course, Isla is correct, even though we had no indication as to that it was indeed Oro who did that, but it's true. This is why we hear a bit more about the curses. And the last curse I want to talk about here is the most simple, the most ridiculous one. The Moonling curse. Okay, so here we go. Here's the really brutal, violent, wicked curse of the Moonlings. Moonling's curse meant that every full moon, the sea claimed dozens of lives from their realm, drowning anyone who found themselves too close to the coast. It made faraway trade nearly impossible, made living near the ocean a danger, and had completely crippled the Moonlings' economy. Okay. So, the thing about this curse is, it's not like the Moonlings are compelled to go near the ocean during full moon. There's nothing forcing them to be near the ocean during full moon. They don't have to be there. Nothing forces them. There's no power that compels them to go there. The ocean just like happens to kill them every full moon if they happen to be near the ocean during a full moon night. How about, and hear me out, how about every full moon, every moonling just stays inside? That's all you need to do. Just every full moon, when you know the ocean could kill you if you come near it, just go higher up and stay in a house. That's all you need to do. This is not a difficult curse to avoid. This is barely a curse at all. Again, it's not like the water seeks them out to kill them. It's not like it invades their entire island. It like drags them out of their houses or something. It's not like they are compelled to go near the ocean during full moon. No, it's just if you happen to be outside in the proximity of the ocean during a full moon night, the ocean will kill you. Just stay inside. That's all you need to do. How does this have any larger impact on their culture or their economy? Like, just don't trade. Just don't go onto your ship during a full moon night. That's it. That's all you need to do. You know when a full moon is. I'm assuming you have some kind of calendar, as almost every culture has had throughout history. And all you need to do is set like a schedule so you know when not to be near the ocean. And that's it. How does this still, after over 500 years, kill, as this quote says, dozens of people every full moon? It's been 500 years. You should know how to avoid this. How does this have any impact on your economy in any bigger way? This is the simplest shit to avoid. Just stay inside during full moon. Like, what is this? Like, this is something where, as an editor, if I saw this manuscript, I would put a big question mark there and be like, why does the ocean kill them? And then I would suggest a quick fix, namely, they are compelled to go near the ocean and drown themselves. That's it. That's all you need to do. Just introduce a magic weird compulsion that forces them to go near water. Then this would actually be a dangerous curse. But the way it's phrased here, not a problem at all. Like, it's super avoidable. Like, along with the Skyling curse, this is the easiest shit to avoid. And you can just live life as normal. Okay, chapter 4. At this point, we learn the big secret about Iceland. Isla's big secret is that she was born without the wildling curse and without the wildling powers. So she doesn't have any of the nature powers, but she also doesn't need to eat human hearts or kill the person she falls in love with. And no one else, of course, is allowed to know about it. The only one who knows is Celeste, who she's like secret besties with, you know. And this is the reason why she was like kept inside all this time, why she was trained so hard to, you know, sort of prepare her for this day. And my thought was, why is she still ruler then? Like, if the ruler really does need to have powers, why can't you just vote for someone else to be in charge? Like, she can still be there for, like, I don't know, representation reasons or whatever, you know, a figure. But the official ruler could be someone with powers. You just vote for them. I don't know. So, I don't know. So, we're told that, you know, one of the rulers has to die, as we've heard. And if one of the rulers dies, their entire realm dies. So this is important to keep in mind. So if Isla were to die, all of the wildlings would die with her. We hear a bit more about Lightlark geography, where we learn that Lightlark is apparently multiple isles. So Lightlark is not just like one island, but it's like one big island surrounded by little ones that each realm owns. But also we learn later that Nightshade no longer has an island because it got destroyed. The Wildling Islands also apparently abandoned. But there's also like the islands where, you know, where Isla came from, because she came from a Wildling Island that's inhabited. So there are islands surrounding Lightlark, but there's also separate islands that are new. I hate this geography, and I hate that there's no map in this book. So all the leaders are basically allowed to leave the mainland whenever they want. Like, they stay in the mainland castle, but they can, like, go fuck off to their separate isles surrounding Lightlark at any time, I guess, as we see throughout the book. That's apparently not a problem. Then we establish some rules about the Centennial. Why there are rules to this? I don't really know. Like, it said that the first Centennial was, like, super chaotic and they didn't know what to do, and like, a lot of civilians died, but none of the leaders, so they decided to come up with some rules and some structuring, I guess. Just remember that all of these rules are self-imposed. Like, they put that on themselves. None of that shit, as we will find out later, is in the prophecy. Like, none of that. This is also stuff they came up for by themselves. They impose on themselves, and yet they, like, adhere to this structure and these rules so religiously, as if, like, their lives depended on it, even though they are just arbitrary. They don't need to follow them. They don't have anything to do with how to break the curses or to fulfill the prophecy. Nothing like that. So, some of the rules we learn here is no killing allowed. In this tournament to the death that lasts 100 days, there's no killing allowed until day 50. Why? I don't know. Like, the prophecy says that one of the rulers has to die. Just start killing each other. Just immediately start killing each other. Why don't you? I don't know. Then there are pairings at day 25. So when day 25 is over, all of the rulers just, like, pair up together into couples. And you're not allowed to kill your partner. Why? For what reason? Never explained. They don't need to do this. They do not need to do this. There's no reason for them to pair up. Why they're not allowed to kill their partner beats me. What if you do it anyway? Because remember, one of the leaders has to die, so why not just kill your partner? No idea. It's not important. Like, why wait for half the period to start fighting each other? Why are there pairs? Why are you coming up with these big, gigantic rules to structure this tournament to the death when you really don't have to? You could just immediately start knocking each other's head in and until someone dies, because that's the only thing you really need to do. This structure is so nonsensical, as we will find out. Like, my note is, why is this so unnecessarily structured? There's no reason for this, as we'll find out. So at the end of this whole, like, preamble, all the leaders meet up and they sort of have to do, like, a blood oath or something, where they, like, cut their hands and then their magic blood goes somewhere so they can make a magic bond with Lightlark or the island. The thing about this is, all the kings and queens have special blood. So all of their, like, all their blood droplets do special things. So, for example, Oro, because he has, like, fire, sun powers, like, his blood sizzles or something. I think this, like, Azul's, the Skyling's blood floats. So stuff like that. And Isla's blood is supposed to, like, bloom a flower when it lands somewhere. And Isla sort of has to fake her blood looking special, so she sort of just fakes it by holding, like, flower petals in her hand that she, like, drops at the same time she, like, lets her blood drop. And I would like to keep this in mind. So the blood of every leader has special, like, abilities, or, like, has something special about them. The blood, whenever someone bleeds in this book, one of the leaders, because there's not one else really, their blood should do the thing. Whenever Isla bleeds, it should do the thing, or rather, it should not do the thing, because she doesn't have powers, but she's trying to keep that a secret. The thing is, Isla, and also some of the other characters, will encounter scenarios where they bleed, where they get hurt. Isla's blood never does the thing it's supposed to do. Nor does any of the other leaders' blood ever do the special thing it's supposed to do, and never will anyone comment on that. Like, Isla will get hurt, scratches, or something. She mentions that she bleeds, or you can be pretty sure that she bleeds in that scenario. You know her blood doesn't do the thing. No one immediately is like, oh, your blood doesn't do the special powers thing, so you have no powers. No one does that. No one ever does that. It never gets mentioned that, again, that any of the blood does a special thing. This is just a thing Aster introduces at this point and then completely forgets about. Why? No idea. Did anyone proofread this? So they all make vows to the island, and because of the centennial and all that, and Isla sort of gets the feeling that Oro, because he saved her earlier, wants to keep her alive. And you're like, why? Why do you already trust this guy? Why do you get this feeling? Because he helped you out that one time after you tumbled yourself off the balcony? Again, you don't even know if it was actually him who saved her, even though, of course, it turns out that it was him who saved her. And she just assumes, yeah, he probably wants to keep me alive. And I'm like, what? Why? No, you've just met the man. Chapter 5, we learned that Isla is apparently a really good undercover spy agent. We're just told that, apparently. Because Isla basically has all the skills she needs at any point in time throughout the book. Like, Isla will encounter a problem, and then she will be like, oh, I was trained by my guardians when I was 5 to do this one specific thing. You're like, of course you were. Of course you were. So because she wants to do some spy stuff and incognito stuff, she goes and like has an appointment at the tailor's, and she runs into Grimm, who's being all weird, mysterious, and flirty, and he joins her. We learn a bit more about Grimm's powers here. He can sort of like read the flashes of emotions that she has. But he also has like a bunch of other powers that we'll encounter throughout the book that are very vague, very OP. Again, Nightshade powers are very weird. They just can do whatever you need them to do. And they find their way to the marketplace, where they find a vendor that sells chocolate, pieces of chocolate. And Grimm asks Isla if she wants to eat some chocolate. And Isla, who, remember, pretends to have the wildling curse, which means she exclusively feeds on human hearts, exclusively, that's what's mentioned, Isla says, oh yeah, I really want to eat some chocolate. And you're like, you dumb bitch. So they just go and have a chocolate date. It's sort of awkward. He like presses a piece of chocolate against her mouth. It's supposed to be cutesy. It's not. It's weird. But then he just, after they're done, he leaves like he can turn invisible. He just like disappears. That's a thing he keeps doing throughout the book, and it's kind of creepy. Because then he suddenly turns up again when she is at the tailor's, making me wonder if he was watching her this whole time while she was getting changed at the tailor's, because that shit's weird. And after just like this 1 hour of hanging out with him, Isla is like, oh, I already feel way more comfortable around him. Like, he seems to be a nice guy, but also he's kind of creepy. And you're like, Isla, you're gonna fight this boy to the death. And you've hung out with him for like 1 hour, maybe. Don't trust him yet, you stupid bitch. But yeah, this is a thing Isla will do. She will like flip-flop on her opinions a lot throughout the book. But what Grimm actually wants to do is he wants to give her a hint as to the upcoming demonstrations, because the structure of the Centennial, at least for the first half, is that there are demonstrations, meaning each leader of each realm will organize a demonstration, which every leader has to participate in, and it's sort of like a challenge where they show off what they can do. Why these demonstrations are needed, why they have them in the first place, and what they do for the structure of this book or the plot or whatever, no idea. There's no reason for these demonstrations to exist, as we will realize. They're just there to have like fun challenges, but they don't do anything for the plot. Like, there will be winners of each challenge, that doesn't really do anything. None of these challenges, as we'll find out, except for maybe one, is actually plot relevant. None of these demonstrations will ever be mentioned again after they're done. And they don't contribute anything to the overall plot. They don't contribute anything to the essential plot and the MacGuffin search that we're about to find out. The demonstrations do nothing. They're just there for fun. Because, I don't know, Alex Aster thought, challenges, fun, showing off how powers work was in Hunger Games, sort of. And they got points for that, so I'm going to include that in my book, even though, you know, the demonstrations in Hunger Games actually had a point. Here, they don't have any point. Like, what are you doing? What? And Grimm gives her information on his demonstration, because his demonstration is first, and he says that she'll need a sword. So the first demonstration will be combat-based. In chapter 6, Isla talks a bit more to Celeste, and here we find out what the first major plot point of this book is actually supposed to be. They want to find an artifact known as the Bond Breaker, which is essentially a giant glass needle that can break any bond or curse with a blood cost. And they assume if they can find this thing and share the blood cost so they don't die, because they shared, they can break their curses. So essentially the first half of this book is a MacGuffin search for this bond breaker thing. How they know about that? Well, Celeste just happened to find a textbook about it. That's all we get. How convenient that she found out about this now. Also, if there really was a bond breaker, and you want to find this so you can relatively peacefully end these curses, why don't you tell everyone about it? Why doesn't every single one of the realm leaders, all 6 realm leaders, bond together to find this artifact that can help them? If this thing really existed and you really wanted to find it, you would all work together to find this. Because the ultimate goal is to get rid of the curses. And if this thing does it, why don't you all work together? Why is this a thing these 2 girls only do in secret? And if this thing, again, if it really existed, everyone knew about it, why don't you go look for it together? Beats me. So, in chapter 7, we get the first demonstration, which basically is Grimm organizing a duel. So no powers, only combat with swords. And they pair up, and of course, Isla is paired up with Grimm. So I want you to know that this is a duel between a over 500-year-old man, hot boy, because all of these people are 500 years old at least, except Isla, of course. So yes, she falls in love with men who are over 500 years old, but still hot boys, because we're twilighting this. So we have a over 500-year-old man who has led armies into war, who's an experienced war general, an experienced combatant, has been training to sword fight for over 500 years, versus a roughly 19-year-old girl who has also been training her whole life, but is only 19 years old. Isla wins. Because of course she does. And the thing is, not only does she win, she's not even supposed to win. Because Celeste told her, hey, we have to sort of keep this low key, so they don't notice that we're working on anything. So let's keep our powers low key at the demonstrations. Don't do anything big to gain attention or something. And Isla just goes and beats the 500-year-old dark, mysterious shadow boy. And then after that, she gets paired up with Oro, who's said to be the best. He's the best at everything, and he's super powerful, also over 500 years old, king of everything, king of Lightlark, all the powers, all the everything. and she's about to beat him as well. Like, she's fighting with him, and then is like, oh shit, I'm supposed to not win this. I'm supposed to, like, not be that good at stuff. I guess I'm gonna lose. And then she, like, throws the fight and he beats her. She was legit about to win this. She was legit about to beat the two most powerful leaders of the planet, who are both over 500 years old, who have done this their entire life, who have led armies into war, and she beats them. And the only reason she doesn't beat Oro is because she throws the fight. And look at my note. I was like, bitch, how? Because what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Chapter 8. Yes, we're only at chapter 8. We get a bit more on Isla's relationship with Celeste. That she basically met her accidentally, but they became besties. Like, she means more to her than anyone else. And this is a friendship that will not get any detailed exploration throughout the book, even though it's really important for the reveal at the end. Like Celeste and Isla will just occasionally, sort of for a moment, for one paragraph of a page, hang out and just update each other on the Bondbreaker search, and that's it. Like, we don't really get any details on how their friendship, like, began, except for Isla just turned up on Star Isle at some point. Like, why they like each other, what they bond over, like, what their troubles are, maybe, like, how this the whole Centennial thing influences their relationship, their friendship. Nothing. Like, the super important friendship that a large part of the plot hinges on later, as we find out, will not get detailed. Celeste basically gives Isla a bollocking for the bullshit she pulled at the demonstration. Is like, you have to be more inconspicuous, because, you know, we're trying to do all of this low-key bullshit so we can go find the MacGuffin. And in order to find this MacGuffin, they need to enter the libraries of each realm, because that's why they think such a secret, super mysterious artifact would be hidden in the libraries on each realm. However, the libraries of each realm are locked and can only, like, DNA locked, essentially. So they need special gloves made out of skin, human skin, which can help them essentially take someone's fingerprints or DNA so they can enter the libraries. This is like a really ridiculous D&D plot where, you know, you find a thing to find a thing to find a thing. The thing is, this works for a fun D&D campaign because I can play that shit. This doesn't work for an exciting high fantasy YA novel. Here's a bit of info on these gloves. The gloves were crucial to getting inside them. This particular type of enchanted accessory was well known throughout even the Newlands. Gloves that were able to harness a whisper of a realm's power. Isla had researched them obsessively, believing they could help her during the Centennial. All she would have to do was capture a bit of Poppy's or Tara's ability to wield nature and use them to pretend. Unfortunately, the gloves were dangerous to procure. It was said they were made of skinned human flesh. Only markets in the Newlands would dare sell such a thing, and Isla had searched nearly all of them. They were rare. They were rarer nowadays, not regularly made. Doing so wasn't typically worth the hassle. The power they held was minimal, inconsequential, unless someone found a very specific use for them. So this is the thing they have to find to get into the secret libraries. And she basically needs to sneak onto the other islands for all of that. But this shouldn't be a problem because, as we are told, she's really good at this. Like, she's been trained her whole life to do this, and she's so skilled, because why should a YA female protagonist ever should run into any trouble or consequences because she may be slightly less powerful than anyone else. In chapter 9, all the leaders are called to a group dinner, which, surprise, turns out to be one of the demonstrations. And Grimm, during all of this, is quite creepy, and he eye fucks her all the time, essentially, and gives her a silly, flirty one-liner that's kind of creepy. He looked shamelessly, eagerly, like it was important to commit every inch to memory. She had never been studied so thoroughly. Did he mean to embarrass her, or seduce the seductress? His dark eyes seemed to get even darker as they met hers, and he said, "I'm not sure what I enjoy more, seeing the way you grip a sword, or the way your dress grips you. If looks could kill, the Nightshade would be dead, and Isla would have broken the first rule of the Centennial." Grimm's lips formed a devious smile in response to her glare. So yeah, just Grimm being a typical dark, mysterious shadow daddy character in every YA fantasy romantasy book ever. So this demonstration, it's Azul's demonstration. So, token black and gay guy who's not really important to the story. And he wants a demonstration of everyone's powers. So everyone sort of shows off what they can do. Azul does some airbending nonsense. Celeste does a moon beam, no, not a moonbeam, a star beam, star energy thing. Cleo, the moonling leader, creates something out of water, there's sharks and everything. Grimm darkens the entire room and creates gigantic creepy illusions. Oro turns a table into gold. And then it's Isla's turn. And Isla decides to go to Oro and be like, "Hey, can you help me with my demonstration?" And then she pulls out a knife and throws the knife and knocks the crown off of Oro's head. And everyone's like, "Whoa! How did she dare do this? But also pretty badass, pretty cool." And no one seems to have noticed or questions that Isla's demonstration of her power was not demonstrating her wildling power. She just did a cool combat knife throwing skill that anyone could do. No one is like, "Hey, shouldn't you be able to grow vines, make flowers bloom or something?" Nope. Isla does a cool knife throwing trick and everyone really likes that. It doesn't question it. And for some reason, Oro wins this demonstration. He, in my opinion, apart from Isla, he had the lamest power, the lamest demonstration. Other people made energy beams, created water sharks, let things fly through the air, created shadow illusions that scared the shit out of everyone, and Oro turned a table into gold. Just it's cool, it's magic, but pretty unimpressive compared to all that other shit. Apparently, that was the coolest thing anyone's ever seen, and it's decided by who? No idea. That Oro wins this demonstration. In chapter 10, Isla tries to gather some information on how she can enter the other islands, especially Moon Isle, which is the only one she hasn't really been to thus far. And she goes to a pub and talks to a man called Juniper, who is essentially a starling who deals in information. He just knows shit. Juniper just knows shit, and it's never explained how he knows all of that stuff. He just does. So Isla gives him some secrets, and he tells her a way to a way into Moon Isle, onto Moon Isle, and his advice is go to Moon Isle during a full moon. I'm like, yeah, duh. You really needed to ask someone for that? You really needed to someone to tell you, maybe go and see the moon people during the one night where they can't be outside. Isla Crown, a super smart character, everyone. In chapter 11, Celeste calls for her trial now, so they can move on a bit quicker. And her trial is a trial of fear. You have to face your greatest fear. And the way they do that is that Celeste has a cursed mirror. That's just a thing, a cursed mirror. She just has that. And it basically projects your greatest fear into your mind. And if you were thinking, oh hey, since Celeste and Isla are friends, Isla was probably able to prepare for this, because Celeste could tell her in advance, but of course not, because for some reason the mirror has a one-use only rule, where you can only use it once and never again. So Isla couldn't train for this trial beforehand. And she is really scared about it. The other leaders sort of do their thing first. Aurora's pretty good at it, but Cleo, the bitchy moon leader, is even better, so she's in the lead. So Isla in the next chapter looks into the mirror. Her greatest fear is failing her realm, but also that she becomes a prisoner, that she just becomes a hull of herself. That's her greatest fear. And she really struggles and is down in the dumps, and doesn't know how to defeat this fear, this trial, and then she just deals with it. There isn't really any transition, she just sort of snaps out of it and did it. And it took her 6 minutes, which was pretty slow. Celeste managed, so jump cut here, Celeste managed to get one of the gloves just off page. She managed to get one of the weird human skin gloves. And this is why this trial is the only one that's sort of plot relevant, because now they put on the glove, and basically because everyone had to touch the mirror, they now use the glove to sort of take their DNA prints from the mirror to get their magic DNA. Essentially, they need to get into the libraries. At this point, I made a note of why exactly are these trials necessary. I don't think they have anything to do with the curses. They don't. They don't even have anything to do with the plot at large. Nothing. Nothing at all. We just forget about them as soon as they happened. Chapter 13 is day 15 of the Centennial. We haven't searched the Star Library yet either. And Isa is currently preparing to search one of the other libraries. They give her magic hair dye to turn her hair. And then we just get told that she's gonna be really good at this, because of course she is. Her friend took her stained gloves off and gripped her hand tightly. This will work, you do this all the time. Isa gave her an incredulous look. I sneak into another realm's aisle all the time. No, but you sneak into other realms' Newlands all the time, wearing stolen clothing, impersonating other rulers' people with your star stick. That was true, but this was different. This was the Centennial. You move like a shadow, Celeste continued. You strategize like a general. You can blend in anywhere. I've seen you. Her friend was right. She had spent years unwittingly gaining the skills she now needed to find the bond breaker. You know, it's nice to just be told that Isla is really good at all of this shit, because of course she is. And it's not like you could just maybe show us that she's good at this shit. No, we have to explicitly be told by everyone else that Isla is really good at stuff. So she prepares to go onto another island, I think Sky Isle. So at this point I was once again slightly confused by the geography. So because it said that Lightlark was cut into pieces, and all those pieces are different islands connected via bridges. There are bridges. And then I was like, but why did Isa portal to Lightlark if there are bridges, but no, it turns out that Isla lives on a completely different island far away from Lightlark. Like, those are the Newlands. Because the realms have Newlands, but not all the realms, only some of the realms. Again, it's confusing. It's confusing. So yeah, there's just like little islands that Lightlark is connected to via bridges. How far away those islands are, like how long you take to like cross a bridge, and why those bridges don't get destroyed while the storm is going on, or that usually is around Lightlark, or how they like keep intact or anything. Not important. Not important. Why should any of this be important? So Isla enters Sky Isle. And here's a little description of that. Only to stop and stare at the world she had entered. Sky Isle was a floating city. Giant chunks of rock hovered high above, strung together by bridges like beads on a bracelet. Waterfalls spilled right off levitating mountain ranges, their triangled bases' roots trailing far beneath them, almost to the ground. On the largest floating piece sat a palace with spires that shot so far up into the clouds they must have scratched the sky itself. The ground beneath the floating city was far inferior. Isla felt like someone walking on the seafloor, looking up at the surface in wonder. Poppy had taught her that skylings used to be able to fly, once upon a time, before their curse bound them forever to the ground. The only person who could fly now was Oro. As an origin, he had all the Lightlark realm's powers, and not their curses. Only Sunlings, since family had claimed the realm as their own long ago. So here's a bit more world dumping thrown in for you. So Sky Isle is a floating city. If that just means how it floats, why, it's probably just magic. Like all the islands are just like sort of on the ocean, and Sky Isle is like half, like just floating. Don't question it. We don't get any descriptions on what these different islands even look like. If you thought, hey, we're going to explore like the different cultures at least a little bit by going into like architecture, seeing what their different houses look like, their people, nothing like that. We don't get anything on that, because why actually expand on world building stuff that would actually be interesting? So basically, Isla just walks into the library and finds a secret area where she assumes the bond breaker might be located. She finds nothing and she leaves. That's essentially it. On her way back, Cleo sees her, and as she runs away from her, Isla runs into Grimm and she asks him for help. And he does help her, but of course immediately makes a suggestive comment as he does so. She was pressed against the wall, and he towered over her, head bent so low his nose almost grazed hers. He looked down at her. "Have you decided to change realms, Heart-Eater?" he said, reaching up and taking a strand of her coloured hair between his fingers. "If so, you might consider Nightshade. We can't compete with Skyling when it comes to sweet or inventive drinks, but if debauchery is what you're after..." His dark gaze gleamed in amusement. "We are most famed for our thorough exploration of pleasure." What was he implying? His hands were still on her waist, his fingers long against her ribs. She took a shaky breath, then batted him away, scowling. "Count me uninterested," she said, but Grimm only grinned as he took a step back. Of course. The demon could feel her emotions, the heat pooling in her stomach as she thought about a surprisingly gentle touch. The way his lips had curled around the word pleasure. No! What was wrong with her? She had always judged the wildlings reckless enough to begin to have feelings for someone. They risked the relationship ending in death. So yeah, just in case you were questioning if Isla thinks Shadow Daddy isn't hot, of course she thinks he's hot. Even though she doesn't really like him, she thinks he's kind of creepy. Of course he's still hot, and that's all that is important. In chapter 14, Isla gets the invitation that she should start planning her demonstration. But she's too busy to keep thinking of Grimm and decides to go look for him. Apparently she just knows the layout of the castle because of course she has already remembered the layout of the castle and remembers where everyone's bedroom is. And on her way to Grimm, she steps into Azul, like, does a little bit of small talk with him. We learn that Skylings are essentially a democracy, but that he is still in charge. He's still a ruler. That's all we sort of get on Azul. He's basically non-existent for the plot of this book. And then Isaac apparently wasted so much time to find Grimm that it's too late to really find him, like out and about. And then she decides to just immediately go to his bedroom, which in the book sounds a bit like, is this an excuse to maybe go kiss him? I don't know. And of course, Isla has already figured out where all the rulers sleep, so she immediately finds his bedroom, and she goes to his door, knocks on it. He opens. She tells him that she's about to plan her trial and what her plan is for her demonstration, and then leaves. That's it. Then next chapter 15, it's time for Isla's demonstration, and she wants everyone to demonstrate the worth of their realm. So what can they bring to the people, essentially? So Azul basically introduces sky mail. Like, he shows that with the airbending they can bring mail into every house. Celeste and her people show that they can use their star energy power to essentially create weapons, to just create matter out of power. Oro, I think, does eternal flames, so they're tiny eternal flames that just provide warmth at all times. Cleo just stands there and is like, we have ships. That's it. Then Grimm steps up and he says, I got nothing. Because he's an edgy shadow boy. And then Isla, for her demonstration, she borrows one of Oro's flames and she ditches her entire arm into the fire, burns the skin off of her entire arm. It hurts like hell. And then she puts on a healing elixir, because wildlings are good at herbal remedies and stuff like that, and they're good at creating elixirs. So she puts that over her arm and it heals up real fast. And that's sort of what her realm can provide. I think Aster also doesn't know how wounds work, because Isla burns her entire arm, skin off, blisters and shit. And then she puts on the elixir, and she describes it as that the skin heals over quite quickly, but it still hurts as hell. So you can only have the wound heals quickly or the pain goes away. Because Aster apparently doesn't understand how wounds work. This hurts because the skin is gone. The flesh is exposed. That's why it hurts, because the protective skin layer isn't there. When the elixir makes the skin come back, the pain also becomes less, because that's how wounds work, but apparently Aster doesn't. Apparently Aster doesn't know how that works. And it's decided, again, who decides, there's no idea, that Azul wins this demonstration. And again, I'm like, I mean, cool, but that definitely wasn't the best demonstration, was it? Or literally introduced eternal fire that everyone can use at all times to keep warm. That's pretty neat. Azul just invented the mail. Chapter 16. Grimm just shows up in Isla's room. Because it turns out he was invisible the whole time and then he just appears. Again, I told you, this is kind of creepy because you never know. He might just be there and watch her. You don't know. And he tells her that he doesn't want to win this tournament. And then he basically does you know what I want, wink, 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 thing at her. Basically flirting with her again. And he reveals to her that Lightlark, the island, was created by both the Sunlings and the Nightshades. And that essentially at some point during the history, the Nightshades and the Sunlings went to war. They didn't like each other, and the Nightshades lost that war. Their island near Lightlark was destroyed. No one likes the Nightshades anymore, and then the Sunlings took over the rule of Lightlark. So that's the bit of info dumping we get in this chapter. In chapter 17, we get Cleo's demonstration, so like the bitchy moon girl with the water ice powers. And she creates a labyrinth, like a maze out of ice, and tells everyone that this is a test of desire. That you have to think about what your heart desires most, and then you'll find your way through the maze. Again, how this is relevant to anything, to the tournament, to decide who dies, to the plot, no idea. So she's like, be guided by your heart, what your heart desires. Isla isn't really good at this trial. She sees Oro at some point, decides to help him because she's nice. But at the end of the day, Cleo wins her own trial, because of course she does. And Isla is just like fighting hypothermia. Essentially, she almost dies from this. And she decides at this point, like, she swears to do whatever it takes to find the bond breaker so she can end this. And I'm like, weren't you like this dedicated to this course before this? Did it take you this long to like swear to it? Like, what? So Isa isn't doing that great, but the next night is a full moon. So it is time to break into the Moonling Isle Library, because it is deeply hidden within the castle walls, so it takes some time to get there. So Isla just like climbs the castle walls, just scales the castle walls, because of course she does. Then she happens to fall off, and as she falls, she pulls a hidden blade out of her necklace and like digs it into the wall to break her fall. And I was like, what? A necklace? She has a necklace? There's a dagger in her necklace? How long is this dagger? Okay, so because what I was imagining was like a sword necklace, like in One Piece, like what Mihawk has. Like this tiny little thing that he carries. I was imagining that sort of thing, because that I can buy, but she pulls a blade long enough to like dig into the castle wall to break her fall? Like, what? I don't know. So it breaks her fall a bit, and she manages to eventually get into the library. She overhears some Moon Isle guards, and they talk about that they are building a legion, that there's a legion, a secret army that Cleo is trying to create. And just as Isla overhears them, they discover her. But of course, there's an immediate solution to the problem. Isla essentially does a Tai Li. She like hits all their pressure points, and they fall over. Because why have Isla have any kind of difficulties in this book? She runs away. She reaches the library, which is made out of ice, and she like sees that the books and all the relics are like hidden under ice. They're underwater, and basically she more or less accidentally, I think, like melts through the floor. Like she falls over and her face like melts through the floor to enter like the secret area of the library. However, there's no bond breaker there, because of course there isn't. And then she uses the star stick to teleport out of there. There's like no tension to the sequence of events whatsoever. Whenever Isla encounters a problem, there's an immediate solution. Whenever there is a problem where you're like, oh, she's probably gonna have to fight her way out of this one, it's gonna be a tough fight. No, she nails it immediately. Of course, Isla always has the correct skills she needs to get out of this particular situation. How convenient. Like, there's always something Isla knows to get out of a difficult situation. Like, she never really has to struggle in any way, shape, or form. So she runs home, goes to bed. We hear that she has dreams about Grimm, and the both of them sort of like making out and it being quite sensual. So the only isle that's really like left to check now is the Sun Isle. But they don't really know yet how to get in there because of Oro, and Oro is like really, really powerful. And I'm like, Oro doesn't live on Sun Isle, he lives on Lightlark. He quite specifically told me that he's bound to the island, so he shouldn't be on the Sun Isle. So don't worry about him being there, you could just go there, because Oro is on Lightlark the whole time. At least he should be, because that's what we've been told. Oro gathers everyone for a tea party, but of course the tea party turns out to be Oro's demonstration. And he says that they have drunk truth tea, essentially. So the secret is in the leaves of the teacups, and whoever shares their secret wins this demonstration. Everyone shatters their cups, and Oro eventually wins by revealing that he is dying. So of course that's bad, because we all know Oro's power is connected to Lightlark, and if Oro is doing bad, Lightlark's doing bad. Just keep that in mind. So we've reached day 25 of the Centennial in chapter 21, which means it's pairing day, because they need to be pairs for some reason. And Oro gets to decide because he won most of the demonstrations. There's still no use for these demonstrations. You could have done this in any other way. So Oro says this might be the last Centennial he ever attends, because he is so sick. So they do have to get to work quickly. And this is the last chance to sort of find their way to break the curses. And they break up into teams. So there's teams of 2 always. And he says that only joined can they fulfill the prophecy. And you're like, then why split up? Why are you splitting up if the prophecy says only joined can you defeat the curses? So at this point we might as well hear the prophecy. I didn't actually write down when we hear the prophecy in full, but you don't hear the prophecy in full until you're well into the story. So we might as well hear it now, because this is sort of the reason also why Oro wants to get this done quickly. So here's the prophecy. Only joined can the curses be undone, only after 1 of 6 has won. When the original offense has been committed again, and ruling line has come to an end, only then can history amend. So this is the prophecy, and Oro is really insistent on that they should fix this, and they need to fulfill the prophecy. This is the last chance because he's dying. This prophecy is really dumb. We'll probably come back to it at some point. But yeah, so Oro now decides to pair up, and surprise, surprise, he decides to pair up with Isla. Of course, they haven't interacted at all really up until this point in the book, and he still decides to take her. So he goes and visits her later, and essentially he needs her help because she has nature knowledge, and he says, you help me and I will protect you. So somehow this overly powerful super leader, who is over 500 years old, who had over 500 years of time to learn all about nature, learn all about flowers and all that, needs the help of a 19-year-old wildling leader, I guess. So he has a theory for how to break the curses. And if she helps him to find that, to find what he's looking for, Isla can choose a realm to keep safe apart from her own. Oro talks to her, and for a moment it seems like he knows that she doesn't have powers. But actually it turns out that Oro seems to think that she is cloaking her powers, that she's sort of keeping them low key so the others don't know. And he says, we have to leave right now to go and find the thing I'm looking for. So they go, he's sort of quiet and not really talking to her. They go they go near the storm, which basically is an enchanted storm near the coast. They travel through a mountain. They go on this giant journey, for a giant ordeal that basically boils down to a test of do they trust each other to do this. And finally Oro reveals what he's actually looking for, and he says he is looking for the heart of Lightlark. So this is the second MacGuffin of the book. The heart of Lightlark is like the life force of the island, it's the source of all the power, and he thinks if they can find it, they can use it to fulfill the prophecy and break the curse. They travel to a cave, which is full of like every flower of every realm, and he says that he believes that the heart of Lightlark will grow in a flower that only blooms every 100 years. And you're like, why is it like this? How does he know this? How does he know that the heart of Lightlark will be in a flower, that it blooms as a flower? How does he know that? How does he know that this one specific flower might have the heart? The one specific flower that grows only every 100 years. How does he know about this flower? Why has it taken him this long to go and find it? He's had 5 centennials, he's had 500 years to do this. He's probably not going to do it much better with the help of a 19-year-old girl who has a bit more botanical knowledge. We don't even know how he got any of this knowledge in the first place, how he knows about the heart, what the heart is, where it could be, the flowers. How does he know any of this, and why is he only looking now? So many questions, no answers. So she tells him about flowers, because apparently he doesn't know anything, even though he's 500 plus years old. So she teaches him about different flowers, and they go like search for some where they think the heart might be in them. Of course, they don't find it, and then he flies them back and brings her back home. Isla decides to tell Celeste about the heart, and the next night Oro meets up with her again. They go to Sky Isle, where there's also a place with like similar plants to the one they found before. They find nothing. This is a plot beat that will be repeated 3 or 4 times, and every time it's the same and it's boring. And this is what I meant when I said the plot structure of this book becomes really boring after a while, because it just repeats the same thing over and over again. And of course they're not going to find the magic MacGuffin before the end of the book, because why would they? So the next time she asks why Oro knows so much about the heart in the first place, and instead of giving us some answers, Oro just like refuses to tell her, instead shows off with like his special sun powers. They spend the entire day doing this, like looking for flowers, like with the heart of Lightlark, and of course nothing. During the nights, or when she goes to sleep, Isla dreams of Grimm, like even though she hasn't seen him in over a week, but she still keeps having like sexy thoughts about him. And she then, as she walks to the castle, she happens to overhear Oro talking to Azul. And Oro, like Azul talks about that one of the realms has to die. And it's sort of hinted at that like Azul plans on like destroying one of the other realms, at least that's what Isla is assuming. And she wants to like, she asks Oro about this later, what the deal with Azul is, and we find out that Azul is a sad gay. Azul's a sad gay. He lost his husband, and he's been in mourning ever since, essentially. We don't have this talk with Azul. He doesn't tell us anything about his life, because why would he? He's not important. He's the token gay and black character. He has no place in this book. Oro reveals a bit more about his past, though. He says that he really liked the wildling realm when he was younger, and they taught him different things, but then something occurred, and then their relationship, like the relationship between Oro and the wildlings, turned bad, so this will not really be expanded on in any way. Chapter 26, they talk about why killing isn't allowed until day 50. And apparently has something to do with that it takes time to find the right person who needs to die. It's because choosing the right ruler and realm to die is the difficult part. Not just because we would be sentencing thousands to death, because all of our futures depend on making the right decision. His voice became louder. She had never seen him more impassioned or angry. All of our realms are connected. You can't begin to understand the consequences of losing one of them. Even if we did know for certain the offense that needed to be committed again, the decision of who needs to die would be nearly impossible. That, more than anything else, is why the curses haven't been broken until now. Isa didn't know why she spoke her next few words, but she needed clarity, answers. Why not just kill Grimm then? She wondered, even as the thought made her insides twist with a surprising amount of pain, even if he seemed to have forgotten about her. He's not part of Lightlark. Isn't that the obvious choice? His smile was mocking, cruel. I can't, he said. So apart from the fact that this quote I just read to you says that Isla doesn't know why she's saying the next few words, she needed clarity, which means she's asking the question because she needs clarity. Essentially, it says that all the realms are important, so none of them could die, like they're all connected. So it's really difficult to choose. It's very vague. Isa does have a good point when she says, why don't you just kill Grimm? Like, no one likes the Nightshades. Why don't you just kill him? And Oro explains that Grimm can't die because he stands in the way of something that is an even greater danger that Isla can't even begin to fathom. And this plot point, this world building point, that Grimm stands in the way of an even greater danger, will never be addressed again. They throw out this really ominous big threat thing that if Grimm dies, there is a gigantic danger that will kill everyone, presumably. What this is, what Grimm or Oro have to do with it, will never be addressed in this book. Never. They don't talk about this again. Like, this will never get cleared up what this great danger is. Why it's important to keep Grimm alive. This giant dangling vague threat will just be completely ignored and never explained. What? So after that, Isla gets trapped in some magic thorns, because of course she does, and Oro saves her, because of course he does, and she, like, nurses him back to health, because of course she does, and Oro says, okay, I guess we can't find the heart, so we go need to ask some ancient creatures for help. In chapter 27, Isa returns to her home, to her room, and she finds a secret note which says, "You are in danger." And Isa decides, this just came through my door, maybe I can still find the messenger. And she goes, finds the messenger, and follows him, and of course runs straight into a trap. Our brilliant main character with the mind of a general just like runs into the most obvious trap you can think of, and it's a bunch of moonlings, so Cleo's people, who try to like assassinate Isla, but Celeste comes in to save the day, and Isla decides to leave a really badass message to Cleo and says, try harder, and she's trying to be all cool, even though none of this is cool. It's all very boring. Chapter 28. Isa goes and gets herself a cool dagger, and she sees one that has like a head of a snake or something on, and she thinks, oh yeah, that's cool, I'm gonna get that one. So she gets herself a cool dagger. Grimm finally decides to start talking to her again, and but she says she doesn't want to see him. One day you act like we're friends, and the next strangers. You disappear for weeks. Grimm did not shy away from her gaze. Which would you prefer? He asked, as though he truly wanted an answer. Friends or strangers? She swallowed, begging her emotions to stay in check. Neither, she lied. I just want you to stay away from me, consistently. He stepped toward her, grinned just a little. Is that truly what you want, Heart-Eater? Her breath hitched. He felt her everything. She turned away before he could feel any more. So yeah, again, Grimm is just here to reiterate that yes, he is mysterious and creepy, but also a hot shadow daddy, and that's all that counts. Isa decides that she wants to see where the wildlings used to live on Lightlark, or I think she means the little wildling island that's next to Lightlark, I think. So they go, I'm not even quite sure if she goes there with Grim or with Oro. Honestly, I'm not sure at this point. I think with Grim. And he leads her into like the mainland forest. So I think they're still on the main island at this point, I think. Again, the geography is confusing. So he leads her to the forest on the mainland. Everything here is like dead and gone and all withered. And they find a palace-like structure which is made out of mirrors. And the official name of this place is the Place of Mirrors. Because Aster does not have a bone of creativity in her body. So they find this place. Isa decides to return to this place by herself the next day to explore a little bit. And what she finds there is a mysterious locked door that won't budge at all. And with this ominous cliffhanger, I'm gonna go and have some lunch because I've been recording the entire day and I'm very hungry, so I'll see you in a bit.
1 hour later.
Okay. It's time for work, boys. Let's get back to this. So, we're at chapter 29 now. Isa decides to go ask Juniper for some more help, and he tells her that in the Place of Mirrors, all other powers are repressed and not active, as you do know. Like, how does he know that? How does he know these things? I have no idea how Juniper knows anything. So Isa's convinced that there's something like really important behind that door that will help her find the bond breaker. This is probably like the last time we hear about this mysterious door. It's not gonna be. It's not important. The mysterious vault, the mysterious door, or what's behind it is not important. So Isa is out and about. The sky cracks open and it starts to rain. So the sky cracks open like an egg. And earlier, Isla referred to the sun as looking like a yolky thing. Those are weird egg metaphors, which, believe it or not, will somehow be important later, even though they only really get used 2 or 3 times throughout the entire book. So the sky cracks open, it starts pissing it down. Isla runs into Grim, and he drags her into an abbey, where they're like close and huddled, and he's like using his shadow powers, and the shadows are like closing in on them. And she's like, oh, I shouldn't feel like this, I shouldn't be attracted to him, but of course she is. His breath shouldn't have been catching. Her pulse shouldn't have quickened at his proximity or words. She still didn't know why he had come to the Centennial, what he was after. Isa had judged her people for their recklessness with love. Now she understood them a little better. And herself a little worse. What was she doing? She had always thought herself above such desires, stronger than her mother, more focused. Grim had told her she couldn't trust him. He had proven it time and time again. Why did that make her want to get even closer to him? So of course they're like all flirty and huddling up. She wants to see the extent of his shadow powers. And like he drains the life out of the environment, out of the nature around him with his darkness powers. Instead of her being upset about nature being killed, because she's the queen of nature and all that, she is really excited about it. It's all cool and hot and sexy, and they get really close and they almost kiss, but of course not quite yet, because we need to extend this love triangle this book is going for. Sometime later, Oro contacts Isla again on the 43rd day of the Centennial and says they're going to take a trip to Star Isle. Everything looks like it's sort of in ruins. That's all we get really on this realm, where everyone dies at the age of 25, that things look a bit ruined. That's it. And remember, Oro said last time that they might have to contact an ancient creature, so that's what they're here to do. They go into like an old building, and Oro calls one of those ancient creatures that are like super old and ancient and mysterious. And if, like me, you were thinking maybe this is like some Cthulhu unspeakable creature shit, literally anything you could come up with, it's a ghost lady. It's just a ghost lady. So the ghost wants to, like, her wish is to like walk around, and she wants to walk around in the body of the most beautiful girl on the island, which is literally the only reason why Oro brought Isla here, without telling her beforehand, of course. So they want library access. Like Isla wants library access to like the Sun Isle Library and all that. And if Oro grants her that, she will let the ghost occupy her body for a bit. It happens. It's short and rather uninteresting. Like she wakes up, Oro holds her close to protect her, and Oro gets like an ominous warning from the ghost. That's not really all that important. And then Oro and Isla have a bit of a contrite fight, because Isla wants to go to the library right away, but Oro is like, well, I did tell you I would let you into the library, but I didn't specify when. So he doesn't immediately take her to the library. They fight. He says he wants to find the heart first, and she like breaks up with him and goes off by herself. And in the following chapter, Isla is like really bemoans her super emotional reaction, even though, you know, she's supposed to be like mind of a general, always in control and all of that. And now she bemoans that she was so emotional, because, you know, the women are always so emotional. And she's really being impatient and silly, and oh no, she's never going to get access to the library. But of course, this problem is mended right away, as Isla is allowed to be in the Sun Palace. Like, or just lets her be there and gives her a note that, hey, you can go there if you want. And they show her the library, and of course, no bond breaker. She contacts Oro again, who kept looking for the heart, but of course also didn't find anything. In chapter 33, they say that there is going to be a feast. There's going to be a ball to celebrate and to sort of mark day 50, the killing deadline. And yet again, I'm asking, what is this for? Why do they have festivities, feasts, parties? Why do they have this? For what reason? It's not doing anything for the plot. It's not doing anything for the death tournament. It's just an excuse for the characters to wear fancy dresses and get all smoochy and mysterious with one another. That's the only reason that like, it has nothing to do with the prophecy, the plot, the centennial, nothing. They just, again, this is like an arbitrary rule structure they come up with for no real reason. Like, this has no reason to be here. So, Grimm, of course, talks to Isla during that party, sort of during like a quiet moment. And then he just like sort of out of nowhere starts dancing with her, and we get a little description of how sexy, of course, Grimm is. His grin was devilish, and she swallowed, knowing exactly what he was sensing as her hand gripped one of his wide shoulders. As she looked up at eyes that might as well have been two pools of ink, the space between stars. Did it frighten him? Everyone in the six realms lived in fear of having a wildling love them. It was a death sentence. And she didn't love him. She barely knew him. But shouldn't he be afraid of what she was feeling now? She pressed herself closer, completely against him, reading his reaction, surprising herself with her boldness. And Grimm only laughed darkly. His hand ran a slow trail down her spine, then up once more. Heart-eater, he said into her ear. You're killing me. Isla didn't breathe. His breath was against her cheek. He smelled like stone and storms and something spiced, like cinnamon. Well, this continues the trend of love interests smelling like all kinds of weird things. Like, what does that mean? He smelled like stone and storm. What? And why would he smell of cinnamon? Does he like cinnamon spiced lattes, or why does? Doesn't matter. So they're being a bit flirty. He makes both of them invisible, and they fly off to a different part of the building, sort of be by themselves. And he gives her a gift. He gives her a necklace with a black diamond the size of a small potato. This is what he gives her as a necklace. It's just like here, a gigantic ass diamond of the size of a small potato. Just like that. On a necklace. And he tells her that should she ever need his help, she just needs to touch the diamond and he'll come to her immediately. And of course, the necklace is also invisible, so no one else will see the gigantic ass diamond. There are like so many moments of intimacy between them, but before they can kiss, he leaves. Because let's keep up that tension, I guess. Suddenly, the castle starts to collapse. Everyone's in panic. Lightlark is falling. I honestly forgot about that at this point, that Oro is connected to Lightlark, because it's not really drilled into our heads that this is important. And Isla asks, "Oh, why is this happening now? Like there would be a specific reason for this happening right now. It's like it's a thing. It's magic. It just sort of happens." And she tries to get to Oro, and she basically tries to get him to see sense and sort of like just temporarily slap some sense into him. And he like temporarily sort of is able to gather himself so the island isn't completely destroyed. But the island has crumbled a little bit. And the schedule starts to get a bit changed and mixed up. Cleo is said to have moved off the island, which she apparently are allowed to do during the centennial. She just like left Lightlark and goes to her isle. Isla and Oro keep looking for the heart, and they meet some more vague ancient creatures that are not really that interesting to get a hint on where like the heart could possibly be. Oro is still weak. None of this means anything. They take a short break in a cave because the sun rises and Oro can't be out in the sunlight because of his curse, and they think a bit about the tip, or like the advice they were given by the ancient creatures who told them that they can find the heart where light and night meet. So where darkness and light meet. That's the hint they got to find the heart of Lightlark. Oro gives some more explanations as to what he thinks the original sin is. So the prophecy mentions an original sin needs to be committed again, and he thinks the original sin was wielding the heart of Lightlark. Why he thinks that? No idea. He just assumes that's the case. They play like a question game to know each other, but honestly I didn't take any more notes on that because we learn nothing new here, and it doesn't really do anything for the plot or the character relationship building or something. In chapter 36, they decide to go to Moon Isle, where dark meets light. That could be the case on Moon Isle. It's cold. Isla is freezing. Of course, Oro warms her, and they find the Oracle, which is essentially 3 women trapped in ice. And they were trapped there by the previous king, so by Oro's ancestor. And 2 of them previously joined Nightshade, but as a punishment, I guess, they were frozen after the Nightshade Island was destroyed. Again, this world building is very unnecessarily complicated. There's 3 women in ice, they know things, they're the oracle. So they melt the ice, they talk to the woman who made the prophecy 500 years ago, and she says that the heart is apparently on Moon Isle. And then Oro, after they done talking, Oro just drops the info that the oracle won't wake again soon. So this was the one time they could talk to her, and then she won't talk anymore. I'm like, how? Why? How do you know that? What? Why? The oracle isn't important. Like, the oracle would never play a role again in this book. And the oracle, it just says the oracle won't wake again soon. You're like, okay, cool. How do you know that? And why is it important? Chapter 37. Isla uses her star stick thingy to go look at the Wildling Isle, the one that I think is next to Lightlark, and it's like desolate, like everything is dead there. And she once again reiterates that she needs to win. She needs to win this tournament to gain enough power to save her realm, because her realm starts to look like the one, like the Wildling Isle next to Lightlark is like all rotten and desolate and stuff, and her actual Wildling realm, so the Wildling Newlands, I think, they start to look like that as well, because Isla like uses her star stick to like look at shit, and she realizes, oh shit, I need to hurry and win this thing. And she decides to get Oro even more on her side. She decides to tell him her secret, that she doesn't have powers and ergo no curses. My note is, I still feel like they can't trust each other, because the relationship development for this couple isn't very good. In case you couldn't tell, these two have no chemistry. In chapter 38, they gather all of the rulers, and Oro says that he is looking for an artifact that can help like solve this prophecy thing. And he decides, because apparently he's allowed to do that, I don't know if anyone else is allowed to do that, he decides to like switch up the pairs, to like make new ones. And Isla is paired with Grimm now, because of course she is, and Oro pairs himself with Cleo, the Moonling leader. And then Oro, just like that, reveals to everyone Isla's secret of not having powers. All hell breaks loose. Isla is like shocked that Oro would betray her like this. Grimm reacts immediately, takes her by the arm, and just like teleports away. At this point, Grimm reveals that he actually knew her secret this whole time, because here's another power thing that Grimm can do, because the Nightshade powers are linked to curses. He can sense other people's curses, but he sensed that Isa didn't have a curse. So that's how he knew. This is a bit of a plot, not quite plot hole, but there's a reveal later that will sort of put this a little bit in to question. There's this whole vibe of him being like, oh, if they touch you, I kill all of them. You know, that trope. And now Isa decides there's no one she can trust, only Grimm. Grimm is the best one. She's the only one she can trust, even though, like, 2 chapters ago, she was like, oh, he's hot, but I still don't really trust him. But now, you know, Oro betrayed her, and now she can't trust Oro anymore, so Grimm is now the good guy. 1 week later, nothing has really happened. I'll remind you, it is now past day 50. Everyone is now allowed to kill each other. No one is trying to do that, apparently. And she moved from the main castle, she moved into the Mirror Palace. And my big notice is, anyone working on the fight to the death thing? Like, this whole big spiel about, oh, you know, tournament to the death, but we're only allowed to start killing on day 50. All well and good, but now there's the timeline, there's the deadline gone, that you're allowed to kill each other. No one's gonna really, there is nothing. Like, it's like this plot, when we're not with Isla, it's like everything else stops. Like, only really what Isla does is important, but the rest of the world, the rest of the characters are like non-existent in the background. Like, nothing is happening. Nothing is happening there. Celeste comes to visit Isla, but they just talk. Again, I'm wondering at this point, how is Celeste important? What's she contributing to the plan to find the bond breaker, to cure the curses? Is she helping? Isla basically just like sits around and mopes for a good while. And suddenly she gets the idea to write a letter to Juniper. So remember the guy who for some reason knows everything, to ask him about a hidden library. And so she writes him a letter, trades, secrets and all that. She goes to bed, she has another dream about Grimm. It feels sort of like it's a flashback. Like, it doesn't really feel like a dream. It feels like she's dreaming about something that maybe she remembers. Keep that sentiment in mind for later. Then she accuses him, after she wakes up, she's accusing him of him sending her those dreams. And it seems like that might be true. If it is, that's creepy as fuck, that he would send her sexy dreams about him and her. That's messed up, my guy. That's messed up. Juniper writes back and says he knows who made the curses. And once again, I'm asking, how does this man know all of this? This is like ancient knowledge. Not even the over 500-year-old people who were presumably maybe even there when the curses were created and their parents died. They don't even know that. They don't know who created the curses. And for some reason, this random guy who deals in secrets, who's like the secret mafia or something, he just knows all of these things without any explanation. And now he's like, I know literally the biggest secret of our entire planet or our entire culture. And you're like, sure, I guess you do. Isaac decides to go and see Juniper, of course, but when she comes into his pub, she finds him dead, murdered by Cleo, who left a note. And this all feels very emotionally vague and vacant, because we don't know Juniper, we don't care about him. I have no feelings about anything that happens. So as the days go by, Isa decides to go out a bit more each day to sort of like check on the situation. She's still pretty scared of Cleo, who's apparently out to get her. Then she decides to, instead of avoid the woman who's out to murder her, she decides to follow her because she just happens to run into her. Like, how convenient that she just happened to walk by where Isla was. So she decides to follow Cleo. We land on Moon Isle, which is said to be still strong, despite like dozens of them like dying. Again, I think this is due to the fact that their curse isn't really that big of a curse. But Isla seems sort of surprised that Moon Isle is still going strong. I don't know. Isla just, at this point, because Cleo is the badass bitch in the entire book and very obviously evil against the main character, Isla at this point just assumes that Cleo must be the one who created the original curses because she's just such a bitch. And I'm like, why would you assume that? There's no reason to assume that apart from Cleo was mean to you. Like, there are no hints or clues that would lead Isla to that conclusion. She just assumes that's the case now, because Cleo is the mean girl. And Cleo, that's my note, being the source of all evil would be way too easy, because she's very obviously made out to be the main antagonist, the main girl who is against Isla, because everyone who doesn't like Isla is against her, and there are basically no nice female characters except Isla. So of course Cleo has to be the bad guy, but I mean, that would be way too obvious. On Moon Isle, Isla is eventually discovered, and Cleo just sort of like water bends and freezes her in place, and then just leaves her to die instead of killing her immediately. You know, like a James Bond villain. Like, a chapter or two ago, she wanted to assassinate Isla, like, immediately, and now she just, like, leaves her to die instead of, like, killing her immediately. Like, I thought that was her plan. Why isn't she immediately killing Isla? No, she just fucks off and leaves her to die like a James Bond villain. And Isla, like, desperately tries to, like, find her, like, potato necklace, but she can't reach it because she's, like, frozen in place. Then some randos show up. Some rando cannibals start showing up where she is and talk about, like, getting her and eating her and all that. But before that can happen, Oro arrives to save the day. And he gets Isla out of that icy situation. He says the heart wasn't on Moon Isle, at least not in the one spot that he searched, and he needs to search 2 more places. So instead of still being teamed up with Cleo, because he needs to search Moon Isle, he decides to betray Cleo now, even though there are still 2 more places he needs to search on Moon Isle. This man's 500 years old and as dumb as a piece of wet bread, which is also his personality. And Isla, of course, is like, oh no, I don't trust you, betrayed me, you told my secret to everyone. And Oro is basically like, no, I would never betray you. I only told this secret to gain Cleo's trust, but I still trust you, and I don't like Cleo. I only did this to, like, further my plans. And Isla, who's always flip-flopping on everything, is like, oh, you had a good reason to betray me? Okay, now I like you again. He talks a bit about the time, like, he hung out with Cleo. Cleo apparently wants the Starling leader dead, so she wants Celeste dead. Oro disagrees with this plan. And here it is revealed that Oro has a special power, which is, like, independent of his normal powers. Because as it turns out, there are special powers every leader can develop called a flare. And a flare is basically anything. It's just like any special, overpowered magic power you could come up with. It has no connection to any of the pre-existing powers the leaders have. They just have them. Like, I think Grimm's is that he can, like, beam himself, that sort of thing. And Oro reveals that his flare, his special power, is that he knows when people lie. So he revealed that he was always aware of the fact that Isla had no powers. So, like, he knows this shit. And Isla was, of course, never really in danger because Oro was always nearby after the betrayal. And when he wasn't around, he sent guards to, like, watch her. So all the tension that you thought might have been there, non-existent. Like, Isla was always safe the whole time. At this point, I'm wondering where the hell even is Grimm? Isn't he supposed to be paired up with Isla? Isn't he supposed to help her? Why is he just hanging out somewhere else? I don't know. Cleo apparently still has this plan of building a secret legion, a secret army. This has no relevance to the plot whatsoever, will never be addressed, everyone forgets about it. And with all those secrets and powers revealed, Oro's now a good guy again, and Isla decides to trust him. Isla decides to tell Isla decides to tell Celeste that she thinks that Cleo spun the curses. Again, this makes no sense, because it would be way too obvious, and I'd like you to, at this point, just think about it. You know, who could end up being the actual big bad guy to Isla? So there are her 2 love interests, Golden Retriever Boy and Shadow Daddy, her two love interests. Then there is Cleo, the super evil coded badass bitch who's like super mean to Isla the whole time and obviously meant to be like the bad guy. Then there's Azul, a character who's non-existent, who I haven't mentioned in quite a while. And then there's Celeste, the best friend of the main character who's like all good and nice and helpful. Take a good guess. I think you might be right. So Celeste thinks the secret library they're looking for is on the mainland castle. Why she thinks that? How she knows that? Yet again, no explanations. These people all just assume things and they turn out to be correct for some reason. Talk about the 75th day of the Centennial, which is coming up. This 75th day has a carnival going on that lasts for 24 hours and is supposed to celebrate all the realms. And yet again, I'm asking, why? Why are there all these random festivities, these random parties? What do they do for the plot? What do they do for character development? What do they do for fulfilling the prophecy? What do they do for the Centennial? They do not need to have these parties. Just sit all of the 6 realm leaders together, figure out a plan to defeat these curses and be done with this. Like, for fuck's sake. At the carnival, which I think is called Caramel, not Caramel, but Caramel or something. So they're all there. Isla is being guarded, and she meets up with Oro after like drinking some very potent wine. They fall asleep together, like cuddling and stuff. She goes back to the party, and then suddenly she's called back because it's revealed that one of the leaders got attacked. And it's Celeste, and she's dying. Finally, some action, because people start killing each other, is what you might assume, but it's not really as exciting. So it turns out that Celeste was poisoned with a special poison. No one really knows what it is, and she's just sort of floating in the air, not being able to do anything. And just as we need help, of course, Grimm suddenly decides to show up again, ready to help. And they think it might actually be Azul who did this, because as they search Celeste's not yet dead body, they find a ring in her hand, and it was a ring Isla gave to Azul like 20 chapters ago. How Celeste could have like grabbed that ring as she was dying, being poisoned, no idea. Also, this isn't as big of a reveal as the book likes to think it is, because this ring was mentioned once, like 200 pages ago, and never again. Also, Azul is a nothing character. Even after this accusation, he doesn't turn up again. So, yeah. Chapter 46, we're back to the place of mirrors, where Oro picks up Isla. So they go for more MacGuffin searches, and they find a place or palace that is made out of entirely of white marble and is submerged in water. They talk about, because they need to undress to go swimming, it's supposed to be a bit sexy, but it's not really, because these two don't have chemistry. They talk about like their body count, how many people they've slept with, and it's not really a thing, because Oro and Isla have no chemistry. They run into some more mysterious creatures in the water. Oro, of course, has to save her yet again and heals her. And of course, Oro doesn't find anything. So the last spot they can look for the heart of Lightlark is called the Vindellands, which is where supposedly those cannibal wildlings live that I mentioned earlier. And Oro has like bad history with them, because like those wildlings were the ones that attacked Oro when he was younger. And apparently these are special wildlings, like they renowned their powers and therefore their curses, which is apparently a thing you can do. How, why, when, where, what, not explained, not important. No one thought about this in any way, shape or form. They travel to an ice forest where they get attacked. Isla, for some reason, even though she's proven to be better at fighting than two 500-year-old war generals, gets hurt, gets defeated. Oro has to come save her. They find a tree with white feathers, but of course there's nothing there. There's also no heart of Lightlark here. And this leads Isla to just assume that Cleo might have already found the heart. 20 days are left of the centennial. Isla tells Aura she doesn't want to give up, they can still do this. So as Isla goes on about this spiel, Aura decides now it's a good time to drop a big reveal on her. And he reveals that it was not only the ancestors of the Sunlings and the Nightshade, but also an ancestor of the Wildlings, who created the island of Lightlark. So the island was created by the leader of the Sunlings, the Nightshade, and the Wildlings. And the island was actually named after Isla's ancestor, because her name was Lark Crown. Because of course that's her name. In the next chapter, they speculate, why did Azul kill Celeste? This doesn't really get explored that much more. Isla calls Grimm into the place of mirrors, and she asks him why he didn't tell her about this Wildlings also created Lightlark reveal. And he basically is like, well, there are some things you need to find out for yourself. And I'm like, yeah, sure, cop out, but fine. And then Isla's like, do you have any more secrets I should know about? And apparently this is the point in the book where things get spicy. So here is what happens. He frowned. It was an unfamiliar expression on his face. He frowned at other people a lot, but never at her. With her, he always grinned. I haven't told you what you do to me. She blinked. What? I haven't told you that you've ruined me. Ruined? He nodded. Ruined. Tortured. You haven't stopped tormenting me since the first moment I saw you. Isla opened her mouth, closed it, considered apologizing even. Grimm continued. A few conversations with you, and I was ready to make the most Grimm continued. A few conversations with you, and I was ready to make the most disadvantageous trade. All of me in exchange for any part of you you'd be willing to spare. He shook his head. You have invaded my mind. I have questioned my sanity. I think about you all the time. The way he said all the time had her cheeks burning with its insinuations. All the time? She repeated, voice breathless. Late at night I ache for you. I ache for you all the time, he said, face truly looking tortured, as if he had waited a long while to say those words, as if she had been a curse worse than all others. Then he kissed her. She gasped just a little, and he pulled away. No. Before he could get far, she pressed herself against him, arms around his neck. She tilted her head back to meet his gaze. All anger was gone, replaced with emotions that made Grimm's eyes darken. Before he could grin, she pressed her lips to his. He was cold as stone, and she became even colder as he pinned her against the glass. They kissed, deepened, mouths opening, heat burning its way down her center. Her head fell back, and he kissed the length of her neck, teeth just slightly grazing the throat below where her necklace said. So yeah, they make out, and I think they bang. I think they shag, or at least he fingers her or something. It's unpleasant. So this scene basically contains all the most cliche, stereotypical Wattpad fanfiction phrases that you can think of. Here's a list. His eyes darken. He has a scar across his chest. She feels every inch of him against her. He makes a low growl. He explores her deeper. He says, I want to watch you come undone. Endless sensations overcome her. This is every, mildly spicy scene in every YA book ever. It mostly, fades to black before they can, actually shag. But, for YA, it's still pretty spicy. Chapter 50. I'm not quite sure if they did have full-on sex or not. also has a thing going on about like that she thinks like that she's a virgin and having sex with someone is like special to her and something, so it's not quite clear yet, but there was some sexy action of some sort. She's already thinking of like a future with Grimm. She's thinking about, oh, what are we gonna do when like all of this is over? What's she gonna do? She gonna hang out with Grimm? With Oro, later, when she meets up with Oro, Isla suddenly, out of nowhere, once again has a big realization, thinking that this hint they got earlier, where darkness meets light, you know, how they find the heart, might not refer to a place, but actually a time of day, which seems contrived, but of course, all the assumptions turn out to be true in this book. So, Isla thinks that there is a bird that can help them, because when she was on Moon Isle following Cleo, there was like a loud bird that was following her and who shrieked so loudly that she was discovered. And now Isla, again with literally no hint, no clue, nothing, assumes that this bird will help her find the heart of Lightlark. So she just knows that this bird will help them, and they decide to go to the Moon Isle. So on Moon Isle, her and Oro follow the bird to a little nest, and they wait until they want to wait there until dawn to see what happens, you know, because darkness meets light. Oro is like really weak because, you know, he's dying, his weakness kicks in, and in order to comfort him, like Isla sings for him. And then day breaks and they observe the bird in the nest. And this is what happens. In the rising light, Isla noticed something. She squinted. Right below the nest, something was floating in the air, untethered to gravity. "Is that an egg?" she asked. Just as the words left her mouth, the egg fell. Slowly, too slowly, it plunged to the ground and cracked open. From its shell emerged a shining gold yolk. It rose from the ground in tandem with the sun, rising from the horizon, just across the cliff. "The full egg represented the moon," she said, her voice hoarse from singing. "The yolk is the sun." How many times had she thought the full moon looked like an egg, that the sun looked yolky? She turned to Oro, eyes wide. "That's it," she said. "That's the heart." The heart is hidden until it blooms and becomes a part of Lightlark. Oro had presumed it was a plant, but this time the heart had returned as the very basis of life, an egg. Friends, we need to talk about eggs. What? What? Okay. So, the thing is, Isla is like, oh, how often did she think that the sun looked like a yolky thing? Yes. It does get mentioned that the sun looks like a yolky thing twice. Up until this point in this book that has more than 400 pages, she thought about the sun looking like a yolk twice. In a passing mention. This is not the clever foreshadowing that Aster thinks this is. It's not. And then Isla is like, oh, the full egg represents the moon. We didn't get that comparison at any point in the book, so that wasn't even foreshadowed in any way, shape, or form. It's just not there, not existent. Okay, so not only has Isla no idea about why the bird could lead her to the heart, there's no connection to this whatsoever, no hint, no clues. Isla is just like, that's where we'll find the heart. She just knows. And then The bird poops an egg, and the egg yolk thing is the heart. Does this happen every day? Is there an egg that gets pooped out by this bird every single day and then it breaks and the yolky thing comes out? Does this happen every single day? If not, how convenient that on this particular day that Isla and Aura are looking for the heart and happen to follow this bird on this particular day. What a convenient occasion for the heart to turn up in egg form just right then and there. What a coincidence. I hate this reveal. It's stupid because it thinks it's being clever. And it's not. It's just not. And I have so many questions about how the heart got into the egg. Is the egg there every time? Is the heart in this egg every time? How does the heart turn from what maybe once was a flower into an egg? Does it like change shape every couple of years, every 100 years? If so, why? How would you know any of this? Why is Isa making any of these conclusions at all turn out to be correct? And how convenient are they to be at this time and place where the heart turns up? So many questions, and I'm so tired. So they found the heart. Isla reaches out to touch the heart, and then she gets struck by an arrow in the chest. I'm not even making this up. And Grim turns up as she touches the necklace for help. Grim is at her side as she wakes up. The heart saved her immediately. No problems here, no complications here. Grim, by the way, because that's basically how this feels, Grim, by the way, managed to save Celeste. Because Grim just happened, again very conveniently, he just happened to find a super elixir that healed Celeste's very specific poison illness. He just happened to find it somehow and healed her. Why, when, where, no idea. None of this is explained. My head hurts. I'm putting more thought into this than I think Aster ever did in the 10 years that she worked on this, as she said. So, Isla immediately runs to Celeste to seize her. Celeste confirms it was Azul who poisoned her. Isla tells her about the heart, that they found it. And Aura brings it to her. There's only 10 days of the centennial left to fulfill the prophecy, cure the curses and all that. Isla, now that they've found the heart, Aura is like, okay, now you can choose which realm you wish to save, besides your own. And Isla says she wants to save the Starlings, so Celeste's realm. And with the Starlings saved, Aura says that the Nightshades will die. That's just decided by him. Isla is like, hey, what about Azul? You had this conversation with him 300 pages ago where Azul was like, oh, we need to talk about the death of a realm. And Azul apparently just wants to sacrifice himself. It was agreed on by the entirety of his realm, apparently, that he's allowed to do that, even though it would mean that the entire realm dies. But no, apparently we're not allowing that to happen. And Aura refuses to obviously kill himself, Isla as well. And Aura refuses to doom the Moonlings for Cleo, because Isla is like, what about Cleo? She's worked against all of us. She's also building a secret army, but no one's talking about that. She's been evil this whole time. We should just kill her. And Aura is like, no, I refuse to doom an entire realm because of the actions of their leader. Even though Aura dooms the entirety of Nightshade because he's worried about what Grim could potentially do with his superpowers. Because he's just so worried about Shadow Daddy. He dooms that entire realm, but apparently for Cleo that is not the case. Again, this makes no sense. No one proofread this. And Isla tries to argue with him. Aura disagrees. And then she attacks him. It escalates and she leaves. We now enter the most dreaded chapter, chapter 53. I took more than 2 pages of notes for this chapter, because this chapter, chapter 53, 3 chapters before the ending, by the way, is just plot holes, reveals, and twists galore. So let's jump into it. Chapter 53. Isla thinks, once again, she suddenly just knows where the MacGuffin is. She thinks she knows where the bond breaker is. And she writes a letter to Oro to distract him. Isla and Grimm break into the castle to find some stuff and meet up at the place of mirrors. There's all a lot of confusing traveling going on, and they go into the forest nearby, and just as they're in the middle of this super important mission in the place of mirrors, Grimm decides this is the right point in the middle of the super important mission to save the world. Grimm decides it's a good point in time to drop the bombshell reveal on Isla. Namely, that all the dreams she's been having about him, about them being sexy and all that, weren't dreams at all. They were memories. So apparently, during her travels with the Star Stick, which is not a Star Stick, as we'll find out as well, she traveled to the Nightshade Island about a year ago, where she once again happened to meet the king of the realm and befriend him, and eventually they ended up being a couple. And they were in a very emotional and passionate relationship for over a year. And then he took her memories. The beginning of the book where Isla travels from somewhere into her room, that was her leaving him after he took her memories. The book hinted at this a little bit, throughout 400 pages of story, Isla once or twice is he feels a bit familiar. And again, that's supposed to be the clever foreshadowing. So Isla runs away back to Celeste. And Celeste found the bond breaker off page. She just found it in the secret library where they thought it would be. So they managed to distract Oro, and Celeste, I guess, entered the secret library. She just found it. So the bond breaker needs a lot of blood. So this is why they sort of plan to stab each other, so they can share the blood load, essentially. And as they use it, Isla looks at Celeste, hoping this is now the final deed they need to do in order to solve all problems. But as Isla looks at Celeste, her face looks all wicked and she's smiling evilly. Turns out Celeste is evil. Bum bum ba! Big surprise, didn't see this coming at all. Wink wink wink. So Celeste, because of the blood she's taking from Isla, she's also taking a bunch of powers, and Celeste now has the abilities, I think, from all 6 realms, which is because multiple reasons. Because Isla also has powers inside of her, we don't really know that yet, and well, it's revealed at least that Oro, who gets there too, to meet up with them, he loves Isla, even though we didn't really get any of that kind of vibe from their relationship. So he loves Isla, so Isla had access to his powers, because love is a dangerous thing on Lightlark, and if you love someone you get that power. So Isla had sun powers, but also Grimm loved her, so she also has night powers inside of her, I guess, maybe. So because they love her, Isla got sun powers and night powers, and she gives them to Celeste now because of the bond breaker, because the bond breaker isn't really a bond breaker, it's a bond maker, and it creates a bond between the different bloods, and Celeste gets all the powers, and boom, another reveal. We're throwing them out because this chapter sucks. Turns out Celeste isn't Celeste at all. Celeste is Aurora. If you don't know who that is, neither did I when I read this chapter, because Aurora was mentioned I think once, like 200 pages ago or something, as being the leader of the Star Isle 500 years ago when the curses were created. And she died, but not really. She faked her death. How? Not explained. And she was able to turn into other people. So that's like her flair, that's her special power, that she can transform herself into other people. And she's basically just been ruler hopping this entire time, pretending to be a new leader of the Moon Isle this entire time. And Aurora, so this is the background story. Aurora, 500 years ago, was promised to Oro's brother. So she was supposed to marry Oro's brother. But that guy fell for Isla's ancestor instead. So Aurora wanted to do a revenge and actually ended up killing Isla's ancestor, and using the heart and all that, she basically accidentally sort of ended up cursing everyone, including herself. All of this, my notice, all these reveals would mean so much more or work better if I had any grasp on the overly complicated world building. Like, none of this makes any sense and relies on so many conveniences and people being dumb. Another reveal, because we're not done. This is the big shocker. It's revealed that Isla, her dad, was actually not a wildling, but a Nightshade general, a powerful Nightshade general, for some reason, at some point, decided to use the Star Stick, which is actually not a Star Stick, but a Night Stick, I guess. It's a Nightshade relic. This Nightshade general decided to go visit Wildling Isle. We don't know why, he just did it. And fell in love with a Wildling woman. How? We don't know. And they had a baby, and that was Isla. And Isla now actually combines the power of both Wildling and Nightshade realms. The only reason she wasn't able to use her powers was because the Nightshade powers, who are that also related to like curses and stuff and repressing things, the Nightshade powers were essentially repressing the Wildling powers. So Isla didn't really know that she had any of them. Here is something I would like to tell you. Earlier in this book, like 200 pages ago, Isla had a conversation with Oro and asked him about what about children who are born from parents of two different realms? Do the kids get two powers and two curses, or how does this work? And Oro very explicitly explained to her, no, you only get one power and the corresponding curse. And now we have Isla, who for no reason just contradicts this rule. There's no explanation given for this. This is completely in contrast to all the rules we've put up until this point. I hate this book. No one thought about this. This didn't see an editor, did it? This is so bloody ridiculous. But of course, we're not done with reveals. We're in it now, baby. We're in it now. It turns out Grimm actually worked for Celeste this whole time. So back then, even 500 years ago, he helped her in exchange for, I think it was just sex. Now he's helping her because he wants to save himself and Isla, which is really working out. And apparently he, 500 years ago, found the heart for Celeste, or for Aurora to use. And I'm like, oh, apparently the heart of Lightlark is very easy to find if Grimm just managed to find it like that, and Oro and Isla can't find it in like 70 days. Apparently it's super easy though. So everyone is betraying everyone else. Aurora is a bitch, Grimm is a bitch, Oro is a wet piece of bread. And Celeste didn't follow the rules because she wasn't supposed to bring any special items to this meetup. But she did bring her star stick, so she just teleports out of there. Isla, instead of teleporting anywhere else, like the main castle or somewhere else that's more safe or whatever, or nearby, Isla decides to teleport into her old room, on like her childhood room on Wildling Isle. And there she meets her guardians. And she realized that her guardians, who we barely know, we only met them at the beginning, in the first chapter, her guardians were actually in on the whole Aurora plan as well. They killed her parents. Because either kill parents or the whole realm dies, so they decided to kill the parents. And it was their job to convince Isla to not use her powers, like convince her that she doesn't have any, and not even try to use them. And I'm like, how does this even work? Like, wouldn't Isla at least once in her life try to see if she has powers? Like, for God's sake, we were all kids at one point. We don't have superpowers, but you bet your butt we all tried at some point to see if we had any, to, like, I don't know, use the force power from Star Wars to open a door, to see if we could do magic. Normal human kids do this. Why wouldn't Isla try this when she was a child? This is such a lazy plan that's completely reliant on convenience, on people acting in the most stupid way they could act. Like, none of this makes any sense, and all those arbitrary, weird rules that Aster made up throughout like this entire book are just here to either contradict each other or to just make this climax happen. Like, all these other stupid things that were revealed throughout the book just are conveniently there so this climax sort of makes sense, and even then this climax doesn't make any sense. So Isla, fed up with her guardians, I don't even know if she kills them or something, I don't know. She just like puts on full armor in what seems like 5 minutes. She's just like, oh, I put on armor and I leave. And I'm like, girl, no, putting on full plate armor takes a while. But yeah, she does it, gets the sword and stuff, gets the cool dagger with the snake head and all that she bought earlier. And then she beams herself back with the star stick to the forest near the place of mirrors, and she like fights her way back there. We get a reveal about like the original sin from the prophecy, that the sin had something to do with like spilled blood and the death of one of the original leaders back like 500 years ago. And Isla is like fighting Celeste, fighting Aurora, but she's not really succeeding at this point. But then Grimm shouts out to her and is like, heart! And he means that she still has a connection to the heart of Lightlark. So she was marked by it, and then she calls it, like Thor's hammer, she calls the heart and it just comes to her. Apparently Grimm knew that she could do that. Like, I don't know if it was because he at some point like also found the heart and then just knew how it works. Maybe. He just knows. He just knows that she can do that. And she calls the heart to her like Thor's hammer. She touches it, she gains superpowers, super strength to fight Aurora off. She takes the bond maker that just happens to still lie around there, and she manages to stab Celeste in the heart and also stab her own hand or something. And she realized that the original sin was actually a ruler killing her best friend in cold blood. Because, you know, Aurora killed Isla's wildling ancestor and they were best friends. So this was apparently the original sin. And now it's been committed again. A leader is dead. One of the six has died. And the prophecy is fulfilled. Lightlark starts to crumble. It breaks along with the curses. Isla falls. But then she feels that someone is using wildling powers to like save her, like wraps a vine around her and pulls her up. And she realizes that it was Oro, for Oro truly loves her. Grimm tried to do it, but the wildling powers wouldn't manifest. So I guess love is not a thing for him, and he fucks off. If you're thinking now with Celeste/Aurora dead, the Moonlings now, not the Moonlings, the Starlings now all need to die because their leader has died and therefore the entire realm dies. Don't worry about that. Because of plot convenient contrivances, Isla has now multiple powers, including the ones from the other leaders, meaning the power of the Starling leader was given to her, and she is now also the leader of the Starlings. And because she's alive, the Starling realm doesn't have to die. Because why should there be any bigger consequences to this plot? Chapter 55. Lightlark doesn't disappear after the 100 days have passed. I thought the island had just broken apart. That's what was described, but apparently it's mostly fine. Isla is just sort of hanging out in her castle room. She doesn't really want to use her new powers. And Grimm decides to send her some creepy voicemail into her brain. Remember us, heart. Remember it all. You will remember. When you do, you will come back to me. Grimm's voice had spoken so clearly it was as if he was sitting in her room at the edge of her bed. So Grimm, creepy as fuck as always, but he's still superior Shadow Daddy, and we all know that him and Isla are gonna end up together at some point, because even here, at the end of all things, when Oro reunites with Isla and realizes that they're in love, they still don't kiss. I don't think they barely even hold hands. Because this couple has no chemistry, and it honestly doesn't surprise me that when I looked up some other reviews for this book, a bunch of people thought that Oro was actually a guy in his 50s having a mentor-teacher, a mentor-student relationship with Isla, because these two just didn't have any romantic chemistry, and you know what? I agree. So now, with them in love, Oro is the only one, for now, for realsies, Oro is now the only one Isla will ever trust. And now we have chapter 56, the ending, which is a very short chapter. We are back in the place of mirrors, because Isla, once again, had a realization. That was when she had realized what it was. The only thing that connected her to her ancestors, the only important object that had survived the centuries. She stood before the vault at the back of the place of mirrors. Oro was next to her, eyes fixed on its peculiarly shaped lock. Isla took a steadying breath before slipping her crown into the hole. Its every ridge clicked into place. She turned it just the way she would a key, and pulled the door open. So yes, Lightlark ends with Isla opening this door that was mentioned once in this entire book, not important to the story, and we won't find out what's behind this, I'm assuming, until the next book. Okay, that's the end of Lightlark. Oh, fucking hell, this book. So, it's not even... The thing is, it's not as infuriating as some other stuff, it's just really dumb. It's just really, really stupid. And I hate that this is the kind of book where you need to turn your brain off, because if you read this like a normal person, actually following the plot and the world building, you will find confusion, irritation, plot holes, and absolute nonsense from chapter 1 onwards. I can't even describe how dumb this book feels. Downright to every element. The writing style simplistic as hell. And I'm not saying everything has to be written by Shakespeare or something, but it just sounds like Aster has no bone of creativity in her body. It's the Sky people are from Skyling, the Sun people are from the Sun Isle, the Sunlings. It's all that. I bet Aster thinks she's being really clever and cool about it. She's not. She can't even follow through on her own rules. For some reason, the Nightshade people are not even called Nightshade, they're called Nightlings. I know it sounds stupid, but at least, I don't know, follow your own rules. Because this book doesn't have any rules. as you realize there are so many things Aster throws at you in regards to world building, geography, history, whatever. It's so unnecessarily convoluted and irritating. It's just too complex to follow all of it and to make sense of it. There's so many things that are introduced that are later contradicted, that are later expanded upon for no real reason. Things that are unnecessarily connected. Like, there's nothing wrong with just simplifying some of these things. Like, that's okay. I can totally see where she was going with this. There are some interesting, like, world building blocks there, but it's like she just wrote this first draft, just like throwing in everything she was coming up with as she was writing it, and then she just handed that in. Like, this just feels like a first or second draft that never saw a proper edit. Because there's so many things in here where I, as an editor, from chapter 1 onwards, would be like, what do you mean? Specify. Simplify. This contradicts something you stated 2 chapters ago. Like, I've had this problem with other books that are like this. Like, these books are poorly edited. If they are even edited at all. Like, plot beats are repeated over and over again. Descriptions and world building facts are repeated over and over and over again. Some things get introduced and dropped immediately, don't come up ever, even though they have like big impacts on the overall world, but the characters act like they're not important at all. World building facts get introduced and then will be expanded upon later, only to contradict the thing that was mentioned earlier. Like, especially for fantasy, you have to abide by your own rules, girl. You got to do that. I don't know, make a world building Bible for your book or whatever. Just something that helps you keep track of these facts, of these rules that you made up, so your book makes sense. Because otherwise you get readers like me and most other people who make an effort to try to understand your book, but then will be completely confused because apparently the normal regular reader is thinking more about the inner logic of your book than you ever did. This just feels like Aster read Hunger Games at some point when she was younger and really wanted to write her own version of that, but bad, I guess. Like, I think there's a pretty good reason why this took her so long to get published, because maybe no one did actually want to publish this book because it's bad. Because you didn't edit it, you didn't revise anything. Like, the first draft of every novel sucks, and you have to change some stuff around. Like, the first novel I wrote was also coincidentally a YA high fantasy novel, and I started writing that book when I was 12, and I finished the first draft of that book when I was 20. Because, you know, school takes up a lot of time. And you know what the first thing was? When I finished that first manuscript, I immediately sat down and rewrote the whole thing. Because not only, of course, does my writing style change from the age of 12 to 20, I also realized that I just wrote some bullshit. Because I thought it was cool when I was a teenager. Because I came up with stuff way later in the book and didn't write about that earlier. That's the kind of stuff you have to streamline later when you revise your manuscript, when you edit it, when you sit down with the editor. This is the kind of stuff you do. You make things make sense. You have to cut out some shit. You have to streamline stuff. You maybe have to put in some new stuff so later things make more sense. You just have to revise, especially with fantasy. Because lovers of fantasy will pick up on this shit. And this just feels like she wrote a high fantasy book for shits and giggles, because that's what's popular right now. And it feels like she didn't put any like actual passionate effort into this. Like, I feel like I put more effort into my first novel when I was 12 than what Aster did with this book. And you know what? I'm still editing this book to get it ready for publishing, because I know this shit needs revising. I just know, especially with fantasy, you need to do this. You need to make sense of it. You need to have your beta readers, your test readers, your editors. You need to have people take a look at this, and then they tell you, hey, you know what, this doesn't make any sense, or hey, this is unnecessarily complicated, and then you take that advice and work it into your fucking manuscript. Because otherwise you get this kind of mess, which left me with so many questions. I actually comprised a list. Some of those things maybe were addressed, we'll see. But I started just like writing down some questions that I had while I read this. Because again, no one proofread this shit. And let's just go over some of these, or all of these, to see if those were addressed in any way, shape, or form. Now, those are questions I didn't even have to think about that hard. Those were just questions I casually came up with while I was reading this book. So here we go. Let's see. Why are some of the realm leaders over 500 years old? Is it only them? Why only them? This is never explained. All the leaders of every realm are 500 years old. Why it's only them? No idea. So the starlings have a bunch of teenage parents and are all raised by teenagers. How does this impact the economy or the culture? We don't know. We don't find out. Why is the king of Lightlark also the king of the sunlings? This is sort of explained because, you know, the sunlings, the nightshade, and the wildlings created Lightlark, and then sunlings and nightshades had a war, and I guess the winner of that war became the king of Lightlark, while the wildlings weren't involved, no idea. So this is sort of explained, but also not really. How did the curses happen? And why did all the realms split up? How the curses happened did get explained. Why all the realms split up? Not really. Why is the Centennial being continued if it's not helping and if the Nightshades haven't been there before? Like, these people just continue having the Centennial for 500 years, even though it has not worked out. Like, the Centennial has not helped them get rid of the curses or fulfill a prophecy in any way, shape, or form. They didn't even try. Like, for all of the Centennials up until this one, the Nightshades weren't even invited, even though the prophecy very specifically says you need all 6 leaders. At some point, it's mentioned that Cleo also just skipped one Centennial. So, of course, that one didn't work out either. Like, why are they continuing with this shit if they're not even trying? They clearly know it's not working. Why not try something else? How come Isla always happens to know the right skill on her travels? Like, she picks up so many skills on her travels on her train that she always conveniently knows what to do. I guess this is just because Isla is basically a Mary Sue. Where is the audience seated? This still doesn't get explained at any point in the book, because Isla will mention during demonstrations, ooh, there's an audience watching. I'm like, where the fuck are these people sitting and watching from? Why are there portals? Because remember, in chapter 1, Isla portals from Wildling New Realm to Lightlark. I don't know where the portals come from. I don't know. Why does Isla have no powers? Okay, this gets explained because Isla does have powers, but the Nightshade powers are repressing the Wildling powers, which then immediately creates another question. Why is Isla allowed to have 2 powers when it was specifically said that this isn't possible? Why are the Moonlings even having trouble with their curse? Again, never explained. It's even said that when Isla goes to visit Moon Isle that they just stay inside. So they do know how to fix their curse, so I don't even understand why this is a problem to them. Why are Nightshade powers so diverse and low-key overpowered and vague as fuck? So yeah, to summarize the Nightshade powers, what Grim can do, so he can like turn invisible, he controls the shadows, he can control darkness, he can create illusions, he can phase through objects, he can beam himself across the continent, he can turn other people invisible, he can send them mind messages, he can sense curses, he can vaguely sense the emotional state of someone, he can create black holes, the impact of which is never really explained. He has darkness beams. That's all shit he can do. Why? This is so fucking elaborate. For no reason. Why don't they just kill someone who is chosen via combat or lots or something? Yeah, again, I'm like, why don't you... If the prophecy says one of 6 must die, why don't you just immediately, all the 6 of you meet up and decide somehow who dies? And then just kill that person. Just do it. Like, why does this take 500 years? How does a person who's 19 years old or in her early 20s, how does she have more knowledge and skill than 500-year-olds? So this is referring to Isla being able to defeat, 2 war generals with 500 years of combat experience, and also Isla apparently having way more nature knowledge than the 500-year-old king who's been apparently not gaining any nature knowledge in the 500 years that he's been looking at nature. My voice is going, as you can probably tell, but I'm just so mad. We need to get through this. Why can't they just all look for the bond breakers together? Wouldn't this be to everyone's benefit? It would be. Why they don't work together, never explained. They're all just antagonists for no real reason. Why isn't anyone trying to kill someone on the first day? So this is explained why the arbitrary rule that you are not allowed to kill anyone until day 50. Again, this is a rule that is not imposed on them by the prophecy. This is a rule they came up with by themselves. This has nothing to do with the prophecy or to get rid of the curses. They could literally just kill someone, as the prophecy says, on day 1. Why is the tournament structured like this? No idea. How the fuck do the Oracle ladies actually work? Because, they're just 3 ladies in ice and they know stuff. Why? How they work, how they know all of this stuff, no idea. We got another double page of questions. Buckle up. Why is Oro's betrayal not seen as betrayal? Because Oro, as we remember, reveals to everyone that Isla has no powers, which is a betrayal. It actively puts Isla into danger. And later, Oro is like, oh no, I only did it to gain Cleo's favor, which he immediately gave up again. I didn't betray you, I would never betray you. And Isla immediately starts trusting him again. You're like, you still betrayed her. You knowingly put her in danger and you couldn't protect her. So that's still very much a betrayal, my guy. So they can switch partners at any time, apparently. Why? Because Oro, switches partners when he gives up Isla's secret. Is only he allowed to switch partners? Is he allowed to announce that because he won the demonstrations? Can anyone switch partners at any time? Why are you allowed to switch partners? Why is there pairing up in the first place? Again, it's just a rule they came up with by themselves. Why does Isla go out by herself after being put in danger? So after she was betrayed and hides in the place of mirrors, she just starts walking out again. Even following Cleo, even though she knows that's literally the person who wants to kill her. This comes down to Isla being fucking dumb. Why are all these flare powers so random and not connected to the island? So yeah, those are just like random flares. The random powers the leaders have, which are not connected to them, their culture, or their powers in any way, shape, or form. They just happen to have special powers. So like, Grimm can beam himself across the continent. Oro can tell when someone lies. Aurora / Celeste can transform into other people. You bet your ass Isla is going to develop like a random flare at some point in a future book. How does Grimm know about how the heart works? And how did he know where to find it? Grimm just randomly, apparently 500 years ago, managed to just find the heart for Aurora. Just like that, even though it takes Aurora and Isla so much trouble to actually find the heart. Grimm just did it like that back then, and apparently he knows how it works. Like, he tells Isla, you can call the heart to you like Thor's hammer. Like, how does he know this shit? What about Cleo's secret army? Yeah, remember how Cleo was like building this secret legion, the secret army? This is never addressed again. Not important. No impact on this. We just completely forget about it. What even are the cannibal wildlings, and how did they refuse their powers and curses? Yeah, we don't find out anything about how the cannibal wildlings work, like that you are apparently just able to like refuse your powers and therefore you're cursed. Like, how does this work? You can't just tell me it's magic, a wizard did it. This is like actual important shit where I need to know how it works, because it sounds pretty important to the overall world building. How did Isla know the bird was connected to finding the heart? The bird was just a bird up until this point. Again, this is just Isla being able to draw conclusions out of things that she had no clue about, and her assumptions are just correct. Because of course they are. Why does, okay, we talked about this, like, why does the heart appear at that point in time? Is it always there? How does it, like, time its reveal? Like, we've had that, like, no idea how the heart works, what the timing is, and how convenient this shit is. How did no one notice that Isla's ancestor was dead and murdered way before the curses were spun? Because Aurora kills Isla's ancestor. That's the original sin. Then the curses are created because of that, and after that, to get the prophecy, all the leaders kill themselves so they can get a prophecy. Did no one question, hey, where's that one leader that we all knew and loved? Where is she? Could she be dead? No, we don't know. No one apparently paid attention to this. No one found out. No one, like, bothered to find out about that. Why did Grimm flirt with Isla if they needed her to date Oro? So, like, the plan was for Aurora to make Isla fall in love with Oro so she would have the sun power, which she then could later steal. Part of that plan was Grimm taking Isla's power, taking her memory, so she could date Oro. But Grimm just goes and, like, immediately flirts with Isla. Like, day one, he's there, flirting with her, canoodling with her, sidling up to her, even though he knows the plan is she should fall in love with Oro. Like, the whole reason why he took her memories away was to make this happen, and he works actively against that, even though he is not supposed to. What? What's the giant threat Grimm keeps at bay? And why does having the heart change that? So yeah, you know how Oro is like, oh, we can't kill Grimm because he keeps a greater threat at bay. This greater threat, never explained, never mentioned again. And then later, when they talk about which realm they could kill, Oro is like, well, now we have to kill Nightshade. And Isla is like, but we can't. You said he keeps a big threat at bay. And Oro is like, yeah, but now that we have the heart, we don't need Grimm anymore. And I'm like, why? Why does that change anything? Tell me more about this stupid threat, you absolute wanker. Why does everyone assume winning the Centennial grants you great power? Like, everyone just assumes that, you know, if you win the Centennial, if you win this whole thing, you like get great power so you can break the curses or something, and you can, like, do whatever you want. It's nowhere mentioned in the prophecy that you gain great power if you, like, break the curses, if you manage to fulfill the prophecy. This is not mentioned anywhere. Everyone just assumes that's the case, and of course they're correct, because every wild assumption in this book turns out to be correct for some reason. Why did Isla's dad even travel to Nightshade? Like, this is never explained. It's just said, oh, you know, there was a Nightshade general and he traveled to Wildling. Why? It's said that all the islands are pretty isolated. Why does this random Nightshade general travel to the Wildling realm and then fall in love there? And also, if this is a thing that happens, he can't be the only one who did this. Like, Isla can't possibly be the only child that was created because of a relationship like this. Why did Celeste / Aurora assume Isla would love both Oro and Grimm? Like, I think she mostly assumed that Isla would fall in love with Oro, because Isla basically already has Nightshade powers because of her dad. But why did she assume that she would fall in love with Oro? Isla's guardians prepared her for the plan to seduce Oro. That's sort of because, you know, the guardians were in on it. So the plan was teach her how to seduce Oro. But Isla, like, chapter 1 or 2 is like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go find the bond breaker so I don't have to seduce the king. The fact that she fell in love with Oro was coincidental. It was again very convenient. This was originally not going to work out. Like Celeste/Aurora was just assuming it was going to happen, even though it very nearly did not. Like Isla had a very different plan. She didn't plan on seducing Oro. She just happened to also fall in love with him by the end. Like, Celeste's entire plan relies on so many conveniences and people being dumb. The same thing goes for the dagger. Because during the climax, there's a scene where Isla tries to stab Aurora with the dagger. You know, the cool dagger that she found with the snake head. And it turns out, oh no, it doesn't work on Aurora because this is the one dagger she cursed or bewitched to not be able to harm her, because she just knew that Isla would choose the dagger with the snake head because she's so predictable. And I'm like, this is so convenient. Like, what if Isla had literally chosen any other dagger at that shop that day? You would be dead way earlier, Aurora. Does the love power thing work two ways? So, you know, when you fall in love, you gain the other person's power. So this works with Oro because he saves Isla, like with the vine, meaning he has wildling powers now. But I also thought Oro had wildling powers this whole time because, you know, he's an origin, but apparently not. But then Grimm also tried to save Isla with wildling powers, but he didn't have them, meaning they're not in love. And I'm like, yeah, but wasn't Grimm in love with Isla? So he doesn't get her power because she isn't in love with him. Does it have to be requited love? What about unrequited love? What if it's like only one way? Again, we don't know how this works. And the final one, if Oro knows how to tell lies, how didn't he find out about Aurora earlier? Because remember, like, all the times that my neighbors are deciding to build something right now for some reason. It doesn't matter. So Oro should be able, whenever he talks to Celeste or / Aurora at any point in time, because remember, Aurora pretended to be every Starling leader up until this point. Why was Oro never able to tell that she was someone else? If he can sense lies, as soon as Aurora would be like, "Hi, I'm Celeste," Oro's lie detector sensors would tingle and he would be like, "That's not true. When she says that, I should investigate." Yet that is never the case. If Oro is a walking, talking lie detector, he should know so many more things, and yet he doesn't, because it would destroy the plot convenience that needs to happen in order to make this story happen. Those are only some of the questions I came up with while reading this book. There are so many more that I have. Like, this book is a walking, talking plot contrivance and plot hole. Like, this is the most irritating shit I've read all year. Mind you, maybe not entirely the worst book I've ever read, but holy shit is this confusing. Again, did this book ever see an editor? Because I don't think it did. Okay, I could probably say so much more, but as you can tell, my voice is gone, my neighbors are being annoying upstairs, and there are a bunch of other reviews you can watch of people who also rant about this book for hours. I would like to recommend these two videos to you, which I watched while writing up my own thing, which are two very wonderful, very long reviews of this book that I very much enjoyed watching, so go and check them out. I also link them down in the description below. So that's it for my analysis and review of Lightlark. As for the next book that we'll read for this review series, as always, hop on over to the community tab. There you'll be able to vote for the next book you want me to review. As always, I'm trying to choose books from different authors and different genres. If there are any books you would like to suggest for this series you would like me to read, drop them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what other books you want me to read. But for now, go hop on over to the community tab and go vote there for the next book. Also, of course, if you have any thoughts and opinions on this book, on what I've spoken about here for way too long, please do tell me down in the comments below. Please do tell me down in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. I always love hearing all your thoughts and opinions on stupid books I read. It's a lot of fun, and Even though I hate most of these books, it's a lot of fun to rant about them and to talk to you guys about them. So yeah, if you have any thoughts and opinions, drop them down in the comments below. So that's it for now. I'm gonna go and have some ginger tea with honey now to save my vocal cords. So this is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you want to know what I'm reading, or if you want to read any reviews for books I'm reading, including Lightlark, I also wrote a review for this, you can check out my Goodreads and or my Storygraph account. Links for those are in the description down below, so go follow me there. Until then, thank you so much for watching all the way through. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done it already. And I'll see all of you very soon. Goodbye. To eat human hearts and kill the ones they fall in love with. Even girly, I think. I'm not sure what I enjoy more, seeing the way you grip a sword or the way the... Oh, this is the worst. Fucking hell. Let's have another party! What the fuck did I just do? What the hell? Oh, fucking hell. Because I haven't told you, it ruined me. You haven't stopped tormenting me since the first moment I saw you. You have invaded. Oh, fucking hell. Who would say this in real life? You have invaded my mind. I have questioned my sanity. This is so ridiculous. I keep questioning myself if I'm even saying the right things, but I am saying the right things.